KBC Channel 1 TV shows for the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment. Log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
The Amazons.
There is nothing else to say,
You're
Eduardo.
lying. Both of you.
The worst was that your father had me against my wish.
I don't care if everything points at him right now. I know he's innocent. He is innocent, and I have to tell him that.
You didn't have a mother because there were so many complications on your birth. But that wasn't your fault, my dear. I beg you. The Amazons.
You saw how close they were. What way should I take it?
When His Majesty gets bored with her, I'll figure out a way to deal with her.
Yusha? See who's here?
Grandmother!
Yachen, how dare you kidnap the prince and threaten the Grand Emperor? You've got a lot of nerve. You dare talk back!
I'm the Emperor! My word is the law. Why should I do what you say?
Good morning. You're just in time for comprehensive news as well as candid conversations on KBC Channel 1. This is Good Morning Kenya, and I'm Regina Manyara on the 15th of November 2021. It is exactly a month to Christmas. The question I'd want to put to you as well as my colleagues in studio this morning: have you achieved what you had laid out to achieve in 2021? Have you? Well, if you haven't, time is of the essence. 30 days, in less than 1 month and a half, we'll be turning a new page. 2022, no time to recover 2021. So do what you must to ensure that you get to where you wanted to be beginning of this year. I'm Regina Manyara, introducing the rest of the crew.
Regina, you've asked a very funny question. You personally, have you achieved?
Oh yes, I have.
You are so lucky.
2021 for me was a year to survive. Actually, I'm serious. As Regina,
all of us have survived.
No. Survival is very fluid and very individual. As we say, people have been going through different things. You know, you see people smiling. You see people, doing all manner of things or going about their businesses, but they're fighting battles that they do not share publicly. So for me, 2021 was a year of renewal and survival.
And you have survived.
And I have. Looking back at where I was on January 1st, 2021 and where I am at on November, as of November 15th.
I think you
have survived.
You are among the few who've achieved their New Year's resolution. It was a New Year's resolution.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and actually many people set their own agenda, their goals, but in one way or another, perhaps did not make it. But hey, that is just that. I'm Victor Olo. Welcome to the program. It was a beautiful weekend. The ladies will tell you why it was a beautiful weekend. That's why we are the three of us here today. And yes, EPRA says that the fuel prices are going to remain constant, at least for the next 30 days. So it's going to be 127 depending on where you are, and 129 depending again on where you are. And yeah, so let's take advantage of that situation. And for the political parties, it's now race against time. There's no time left. As I usually say, for politicians, there is no time. 1 year is like 1 month. So it's systems go. My name is Victor Lowe. Welcome to the program. Giving it to Jen.
Waza. How are you guys doing?
We are doing fantastic.
We're doing well. We're doing well. How are you doing?
We are doing Regina, tuko sawa, si ndio?
Tuko sawa. Wewe uko sawa, Jane?
Good morning, Jen.
Kamko sawa, niko sawa. Mimi niko salama kabisa. Jane Wamboy, as always, we appreciate that you always choose to start your morning with us right here on Good Morning Kenya. And just to answer Ray, you know, in regards to achieving what you had set out to achieve, in as much as you may have not achieved all that you set out to achieve, but you have fought some really big battles. Because personally, last year iliisha madhogodhanio. Iliisha tu vibaya, especially on my birthday. So kwanza mwaka iliwaga tu, it was bad, but I am at such a beautiful place than I was 10 months ago.
Yes.
And I cannot compare that to anything. Na tunasemanga hii na Regina. Hii mwaka haitaisha venye last year iliisha.
Amen.
Amen.
Haitaisha venye last year iliisha.
Haiwezi.
And by the way, for me, this year was lost. See, Gava said that the year was lost, education was lost, so many things. So, as far as I'm concerned, that year was lost. So, I want to catch up with coming next year. So, 2022 will be 2021 and vice versa.
2022, it's bound to get better, man. And we also are bound to get better as a program as we gear up for the general election. Yet, najua next day itakuwa mambo ni teke, siasa through and through. And also as a team, we are preparing for that. We'll be sharing with you some good news in not too long. But for now, we have such a dope show lined up for you. Remember, you can always talk to us. Why don't you check in? Let us know where you're watching us from this morning, whichever parts, Victor Nasimanga, from wherever you're watching us from this morning. Oyugis, Turkana, Mobava.
Even across our borders.
Across our borders.
Europe, Kisumu,
But check in using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official handle ever remains to be at KBC Channel 1 across the socials, and our individual handles are ever at Ray Manyara, at Victor Olo, at Jane Wamboy, and at Doreen Arange, who we again say congratulations to. But for now, Regina.
Tuseme tunangoja matokeo.
Tunangoja matokeo sasa.
That was on a very lighter note. Anyway, away from what was happening over the weekend, we also believe that you had a fantastic time to recoup. Now let's bring you up to speed with those stories that have been making headlines at a time when, you know, we're talking about an uproar of school fire penalties, as well as what is happening in the political scene. Now, to get to the details, fuel prices will remain same for the next 30 days in the latest report from the Energy Petroleum Regulatory Authority. The prices remain unchanged thanks to a subsidy from the Petroleum Development Levy. Without the subsidy, a litre of super petrol would have retailed at 143 shillings and 48 cents, while diesel would have retailed at 126 shillings, that is 126 shillings and 28 cents, while kerosene would have gone for 115 shillings and 11 cents. In Nairobi, a litre of super petrol will retail at 129 shillings and 72 cents, diesel at 110 shillings and 60 cents, while kerosene will sell at 103 shillings and 54 cents. However, those fueling in Mombasa will pay 127 shillings and 46 cents, while a litre of super petrol, that's for a litre of super petrol, and 108 shillings and 36 cents for diesel, 101 shillings and 29 cents for kerosene, while those in Kisumu will fuel at 130 for super petrol, 111 for diesel, 104 for kerosene. However, it will cost those who live in Mandera a little bit more, where they're going to pay 142 shillings and 75 cents for a litre of super petrol, while 123 shillings and 64 cents for diesel, and 104 shillings and 26 cents for kerosene. To matters of politics is that the Deputy President, William Ruto, says it will be out of order for the Jubilee Party to sponsor an opposition candidate in the 2022 general election. Speaking in Murang'a County, Ruto said more than 8 million people supported Jubilee in 2017. He said a leader within Jubilee could easily be picked from this figure.
Speaking during a rally at Kegumo, Murang'a County, Deputy President William Ruto said he was best suited to complete President Kenyatta's development agenda.
Wakati Uhuru Kenyatta atastaafu, mimi nitapanga ndani ya bottom up ndio tuweze kutimiza ahadi yetu kwenu na kwa ahadi yetu kwa wananchi wa taifa letu la Kenya. Vile tulikuwa tumepangia ndani ya Big Four, mwaka ujao tunaweka pesa ya serikali bilioni 100 katika miradi na mipango itakayopatia hawa vijana wetu wa Kenya ajira as a matter of priority.
He took issue with a section of Jubilee Party members for making uncalled for about turn and pledged their loyalty to the opposition. Earlier during a church service, a section of MPs from the Mount Kenya region who had accompanied Ruto pledged to firmly rally behind his candidature, saying he had stood with the president even during difficult times, unlike other leaders in the presidential race.
Yule amesimama na rais wetu wakati alikuwa anatafuta mwanaume wa kusimama na yeye, na tukaona kuangalia na darubini. Sisi tuko na presidential candidate na ni wewe umekaa hapa,
na furaha yangu ni kuona Wakenya wamechangamka na wanaona mbali, na hata wakisindikizwa kule wataenda wako na uhuru wa kujiamulia. Na ni kwamba tunajua ni nani alitusaidia wakati tulikuwa na hitaji usaidizi wa dhati, na ni nani alisimama na sisi wakati tulihitaji mtu wa kusimama na sisi.
The Deputy President attended a church service at the Mudithi African Independent Pentecostal Church of Africa, AIPCA, Giada Parish, Kegumo Constituency, Murang'a County.
Hata katika mashindano ya siasa, tuweke mashindano katika kiwango ya chama ya kitaifa ambayo haitatugawanya kwa misingi ya kabila hii na kabila ile.
Now, maybe to unpack that for you or to make you understand exactly what the Deputy President was alluding to, the issue is he has taken up an issue with, Jubilee Party supporting ODM leader Raila Odinga instead of a candidate from the Jubilee Party ranks. Well, you can get further details in regard to what is happening in matters politics. Remember, it is available on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. Now, still talking about matters politics and focusing on what ODM leader Raila Odinga is saying or doing, is that he has called on Kenyans to embrace peace and unity as campaigns intensify. He was speaking in Lamu County as he kicked off a 3-day tour of the coast region. Odinga implored Kenyans to support his Azimio la Umoja initiative, saying it holds the key to the country's economic development.
Immediately after attending a church service at the Full Gospel Church in Mpeketoni, the ODM leader hit the ground running to seek local support. His first stopover was Mpeketoni. Here, Odinga said he is on a mission to bring change to the country and improve the economy, calling on Kenyans to support his Azimio la Umoja initiative.
Tutaki kuona kama kuna Mkenya ambaye analala njaa. Katiba mpya hairuhusu hiyo. Ndio sababu nikasema tutaanzisha mpango ya social security katika taifa letu. The biggest social safety net katika taifa bara ya Afrika. Ili ikifika mwaka ujao, baada ya uchaguzi, kila jamii ambaye kuna mtu ambaye hana mapato yoyote watakuwa napata kila mwezi kutoka kwa serikali shilingi 6,000.
Odinga, who also held rallies at Witu and Lamu Island, said the initiative will ensure a holistic leadership approach so that everyone is able to live a decent life despite their social standing.
Naambia Wakenya ati harakati ya ukombozi wa 3 wa Kenya umeanza. Ukombozi ya kwanza ilileta uhuru. Ukombozi ya pili ilileta katiba mpya. Ya 3 ni ya mission ya uchumi. Kukomboa uchumi yetu ili nchi yetu inuke.
Raila told of the deputy president dismissing his bottom-up economic model. Leaders who accompanied Odinga urged Kenyans to rally behind the ODM leader and to be wary of leaders who are hungry for power.
Mimi nataka kuambia wengine, nimesikia kwa runinga jana na juzi, kama wewe unataka kuongoza nchi ya Kenya, tafadhali uuze sera zako. Asubuhi, saa 7, mchana, jioni, sera yako hawezi kuwa Raila Amolo Odinga. Lazima ueleze wa Kenya unataka kutimiza, unataka kufanyia wa nini.
Ona stima imefika na kusambaa kila mahali. Sasa tunasema hiyo maendeleo yote kupitia Rais Uhuru Kenyatta inahitaji kiongozi atakayeendeleza hata zaidi.
Raila will on Monday pitch tent in Kilifi County and wrap up his tour in Kwale and Mombasa counties on Tuesday.
Still on matters politics, and the question is, where is the money? These are some of the utterances that were made by Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi when he called on politicians seeking elective positions in 2022 general election to stand up for what is right and propagate issue-based politics. Now, Mudavadi emphasized the need to have leaders who will prioritize service delivery to Kenyans.
Amani National Congress Musalia Mudavadi, who attended the church service at the Friends International Center along Ngong Road in Nairobi County, reiterated the need for Kenyans to interrogate the integrity of leaders before entrusting them with the leadership.
We want a Kenya that thrives. We want everybody to pay for their medical bills without a problem. We don't want to hear that NHIF is broke.
A similar call for a collaborative approach in achieving good governance was made by One Kenya Alliance principals Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper Democratic Movement and Gideon Moi of Kenya National African Union, who were at ACK Kiseren Church in Kajiado County.
Watu wamechanganyikiwa kabisa kwa sababu ya hali ngumu ambayo imesababishwa pia na maradhi haya ya corona.
Unajua, every 5 years we are held to account, us. And next year we'll be held.
This is as National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi faulted a section of leaders for using church attendance on Sunday as a campaign strategy, even as he called for sobriety during political rallies.
Tumefika wakati ambao ni mgumu sana. Vile nimeona watu wakianza kurudishiana maneno makali. It is risky.
Meanwhile, Westlands Member of Parliament Tim Wanyonyi has officially launched his gubernatorial bid for Nairobi County. Wanyonyi will be vying on an ODM ticket, also unveiled his blueprint on governing the capital city if elected.
I will put in place all mechanisms to fight corruption by enforcing all the bylaws that have been passed to prevent corruption, legislating more and better ones to seal loopholes and more towards cashless system. Ladies and gentlemen, I am ready to be your governor, to be your next governor, respectively yours.
And a cross-section of Jubilee-allied members of parliament have taken a swipe at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission chairperson, Wafula Chebukati, over what they termed as being compromised and partisan.
Him saying that cabinet secretaries can be able to vote, can be able to do politics in 2017. The other day we saw him do a memo changing that, and no law has changed. And for the only reason, in my opinion, that he did that is because he has taken a position. He thinks that cabinet secretaries are helping, are acting against the deputy president.
They spoke after meeting in Limuru, Kiambu County.
With that update from what has been happening in the political scene, we take a quick breather. We'll be right back.
Matatizo iko wapi? Mama, sasa mimi nitajuaje na wewe ndio wamfungia kule? Mimi sijui mama.
It has always been my idea.
And I'm telling you, kama ni mpango wako, let me tell you right on your face. You fail big time.
They were. What way should I take it?
When His Majesty gets bored with her.
Who's here? See who's here?
Grandmother! Yachen, how dare you kidnap the prince and threaten the Grand Emperor? You've got a lot of nerve. You dare talk back!
I'm the Emperor! My word is the law. Why should I do what you say?
Dear family, through the ups and downs, you know you've always been around. So every day me show you love and not just Father's Day alone. Daddy, let me tell you straight, there's no greater man I'd want to emulate.
They say I'm not the perfect man for you. Thanks and praise for all my days. Never meant to cause you any sorrow. I believe that love can touch someone only love can conquer. The hate inside, 'cause your favorite girl, you're my favorite.
Indeed, if you're tuning in, you're watching KBC Channel 1 and this is Good Morning Kenya. We're bringing you up to speed with those stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours as prepared by our news desk. Further on, you can get these particular stories and updates on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. Everyone who is watching online, Tom Wema in Nairobi area, as well as Jackson Kihara there in Nairobi area. Thank you very much for keeping us company. Keep it coming. Remember, it's an open conversation. We welcome you to you can chime in on what you think about what is happening in our political scene, as well as a current school unrest. Some of the stories have already made headlines on various forms of social media as well as mainstream media, and the question is this euphoria, or are we having a serious issue in our learning institutions, especially high school, or if you like, secondary schools? We'll be tackling that as we proceed in our conversation, as we continue just trying to dissect what is making headlines. Now we cross over to Kitengela, which is in Kajiado County, where a mother of two is in urgent need of assistance after her husband allegedly abandoned her for refusing to undergo female gender mutilation. Now, the 28-year-old, who is expectant and is currently housed by well-wishers, was reportedly found by the roadside unconscious by some good Samaritans. According to Susan Nyambura, her husband and his family have been trying to force her to undergo the cut or risk losing her marriage.
Susan Nyambura's refusal to give in to her husband's demands has left her a depressed mother of two.
Siwezi kubali kutairi mbali imefika. Juu alikuwa anataka atairishe huyo msichana wangu, nikakataa. Kuna wale wananiita mama mdogo, watoto wa ndugu yake walitairi last year.
Her husband of 8 years allegedly left her with 2 children for refusing to undergo female genital mutilation.
Kulingana na hiyo familia, yani nikienda kuambia venye nateseka na watoto, wananiambia hawezi nitambua kasi jinjia kwa hiyo dini.
For now, she is being sheltered in this semi-permanent single room thanks to good Samaritans.
Namfahamu Susan kwa kumpata hapa kwangu nje akiwa anateseka na hawa watoto, nikamchukua nikampa hii nyumba, hata haikuwa na chochote ndani. Nikajaribu kutafuta wamama kadhaa, tukajaribu kumsanyia vitu.
Her miseries began in 2019 while pregnant with her twin sons, when the 48-year-old husband planned to have her and their 9-year-old daughter undergo the cut.
Nilimpata Thursday pale stage. Yeye alisema haizikana mtu mwenye jitairi. Tumempa ushauri atafute venye watu wao watamsaidia. Nikaongea na bwana mmoja, ndugu ya huyo jamaa, akaniambia hiyo issue yao iko katikati yao na wazazi pia. Itajide.
With her case being one among many gender-based violence meted on women, her fear now is on the welfare of her children.
Na kuomba mahali huko kuja unisaidie kulea watoto. Mimi nimeteseka ya kutosha. Niko karibu kujifungua na wataki kunitambua. Mimi nasikia nimefika mwisho. Nilijichukulia mimi mwenyewe kumpeleka hospitali, akafanyiwa skani, alikuwa mtoto hata hachezi. Tafadhali mahali huko, kama una utu umsaidie huyu mama tafadhali sana.
It is during our execution as journalists, when we cover these stories, it just puts the question, are we living in the same reality as a majority of Kenyans are? Which year is it? We're talking about 2021. And FGM was outlawed as far as I'm concerned. So other than seeking help from well-wishers, I think the relevant authorities need to intervene in this case, because if this is a grown-up woman who is fighting or resisting this move at the age of 28, you can imagine the daughters to come. And it's such a pity coming from someone who is your friend, your confidant, your friend, your husband, your spouse. You shouldn't be getting this kind of, treatment from someone who, I tend to believe love was there at some point. what value does FGM at this point add in your life? I know that part of culture and tradition, but we're supposed to exist. We cannot exist from without, and we have to grow from what did not add value then. We cannot blame our forefathers for practicing these traditions and customs then, but now we know better that FGM actually endangers the life of a woman, as well as doesn't add value in every sense of the word to making you a woman or half a woman. In my culture, if we go down in history, and if the producer permits me, in my culture back then, there were two terms that were used to describe women who had undergone the cut and those who hadn't. So, if a woman had undergone the cut, they would be referred to as moire, meaning that you are of value as a woman, moire. And if you hadn't undergone the cut, they used a derogatory term, mokenye. Yes? And that was then. But right now, things have changed. We're in the 21st century, and we have discovered better ways of transiting from childhood to womanhood without shedding of blood and demeaning cultural practices, especially to the woman. Remember, these are just my opinions, and we went down memory lane as far as history and culture is concerned. You can also chime in. My Twitter handle is @RayManyara. Now we cross over to the northern region, where pastoralists from Tana River County, who are facing food and financial insecurity after hundreds of their livestock died due to starvation, are calling on the government to compensate them. They want the government to introduce a livestock off-take program in the area to cushion them from further losses.
Annual drought that has hit parts of Tana River and Kilifi counties has left pastoralist communities worried. Kilifi County CEC for Devolution and Disaster Management Professor Gabriel Katana says at least 54,000 herds of cattle in the area are at risk of starvation for lack of pasture and water.
Katika migration tunajua kuna hii changamoto ambayo imekuja kwa sababu hali ya migration ya kwenda kutafuta lishe. Hii pia imeleta matatizo ya kijamii.
Katana fears the situation may worsen even with distribution of animal feeds, water and medicine to 1,000 pastoralists.
Huenda ukame huu ukaendelea mpaka mwezi wa 5 mwaka ujao. Kwa hivyo hali hii imepeleka kwamba hata serikali kuu kupitia kwa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta limetangazwa kwamba ni janga la kitaifa.
Osman Gobu Hahada says that he started migrating with his employer's 30 cattle, but he has lost 20 of them to starvation.
Ng'ombe zinakufa na hata hakuna mahali ya malisho, ni kuomba mashamba za watu ama kuzinunua. Kweli watu wa Kilifi wenyewe walitusaidia.
Tana River Senator Juma Wario is calling on the government and the Kenya Wildlife Service to allow herders access the Savo East National Park to graze their cattle as a short-term intervention.
Omba serikali kwa hali na mali utusaidie sisi kama watu wa Tana River na Kilifi County. Katika hizo county mbili ambapo zilitajwa ndio waliathirika pakubwa sana.
Now crossing over to the county's Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kibisho has urged Isiolo residents to rally their support behind politicians allied to President Uhuru Kenyatta. Elsewhere, the government has moved to promote local innovation to reduce imports in a bid to cushion entrepreneurs from negative economic effects of the COVID-19 disruptions.
Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kibicho was in Isiolo County to commission construction of multi-sub-county education offices, warned that the area risks missing out on various development projects if they fail to elect leaders who support the government.
Lazima mchague mtu mwenye ataenda kufanya kazi na Mumina. Ni kweli? Sasa sisi tuweke masikio yetu tayari. Watu wa Merit mnanisikia? Ndio. Tuweke masikio yetu ikiwa tayari. Ile njia Uhuru Kenyatta anatuambia tuelekee, hiyo ndio.
And Olmoran Secondary School in Laikipia County has unveiled a new dormitory as it looks forward to offering boarding facilities for students who have to trek for over 50 kilometers to school daily. Education stakeholders are calling on the government to invest more in boarding schools in the areas to help keep learners in class.
Kwa sasa tuko na vijana about 100 wenye hawajaweza kurudi kwa shule, lakini sababu ya kukosa mahali pa kukaa. Vile sasa tumemaliza, wataweza kuingia kwa dormitory na masomo yao yataendelea ndio waweze kumaliza mpaka form 4 na kuendelea university na other colleges.
Elsewhere, residents of Nyaboma village in Waitaluk Ward, Trans Nzoia County have condemned the pathetic condition of feeder roads in the region. The Irate residents who held protests decried poor workmanship by contractors who have been tasked to maintain the roads in the region.
Mama kwenda hospitali ni shida, kutoka Big Tree inabidi tusunguke almost 10 kilometers. Na ili hali kutoka Big Tree, kutoka hapa mpaka Big Tree inachukua 3 kilometers. Imagine that cost kwa barabara. Tunaomba serikali iingilie kati.
Meanwhile, Narok Governor Samuel Oletunai has called upon Kenyans to keep adhering to COVID-19 prevention guidelines as the pandemic still exists, and the lifting of movement and physical meeting restrictions does not mean they should throw caution to the wind. Finally, the government has expressed commitment to promote the work of local innovators in a new bid to discourage expensive importation of products that can be developed locally. Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Industrialization, Trade and Enterprise Development, Lawrence Karanja, says through Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute, the government has supported innovators and innovations. He was speaking during ZTech University's graduation that saw 1,406 graduates conferred with degrees, diplomas and certificates.
The band, you can continue. Thank you.
Now crossing over to the sporting arena, where 48 swimmers will represent Kenya in the Kana Zone 3 Championship, 3-day championship that will be held in Uganda from the 7th to the 12th of December this year. Kagwima Ashley and Wangeshi Minor are among the swimmers who will feature in the event after qualifying during the Nairobi Gala that culminated at the Kasarani Aquatic Center.
Ashley Kagwima, who was featuring in the 200 meters event under 15 years category, showed a splendid performance and qualified for Kana Zone 3 Championship set to be held in Uganda next month. Kagwima timed 3 minutes 1.12 seconds, while Go Rees clocked 2 minutes 54.80 seconds.
800 free, and it was hard because after COVID, my endurance in long events disappeared, and so now going back to it is challenging, but like in shorter distances like the 50 breast, it was fine. And
my performance for today has been okay. I've cut time, or I've swum faster than I have before in my 200 back. I cut 3 seconds off my PB.
In the boys under the age of 16, Bifoli Tabuka emerged victorious in 2 minutes 30.62 seconds, while Walid Khalid was second in 2 minutes 46.72 seconds. Ronnie Mushoki finished third.
It was up and down day. Some good moments and some bad moments that I can learn from. And yeah.
My performance here, it's been very good so far. I've mostly improved my time. Some I dropped, but all in all, it was a good gala.
24 juniors and 24 senior swimmers will feature in the Kana Zone 3 Championship.
So we were looking to take a strong team. Quite a good number. We had a very big number of swimmers qualifying for that event, but based on the requirements, we only be required to attend 48.
Congratulations and all the best to those participants going forward. The 48 swimmers who will be representing Kenya at the Kana Zone 3 Championship there in Uganda. All all the best. Now crossing to the field where Harambee Stars are set to play against Rwanda. That is on Monday at the Nyayo Stadium, which is today, in their last group match of the World Cup qualifiers. Both Kenya and Rwanda are already out of the race for Qatari, which makes the match a mere formality. Kenya are the third in Group E standings with 3 points after 5 matches played. Well, formality as it may, I don't mind winning, at least. Being a Kenyan, I still want to win. So, Harambee Stars, do us proud, please. I know there's so much that is happening in as far as matter soccer is concerned, with the latest developments towards the end of last week and the weekend there, with the arrest of embattled FKF leader there, that is Nick Mwendwa, and the arrest and the subsequent caretaker committee appointed by the Sports Cabinet Secretary, Ambassador Amina Mohammed. So much has been said. Remember, we are also open to hear your feedback in regard to where we are in as far as soccer, if you like, football is concerned in the country. Is this a step in the right direction? There's been, I think, towards the end of midweek when the caretaker committee was announced, a certain journalist was actually trending, and this is none other than Linda Ogutu, who is part of the caretaker committee. Over the weekend, we had sports journalist and veteran, actually, Carol Radul, speak up and say the reason why she actually missed out on being part of that particular team. It's because of her inquisitive nature. When she was called, she asked to be given time to ponder on the role that she would be undertaking as part of the caretaker committee. Remember, all this is also available on our website, as much as we welcome your feedback in regard to where we are in as far as football is concerned in the country. Now to regional matters. Kenya will be hosting the international netball matches after the African Federation issued Kenya a wooden floor following during the ongoing Africa Women Netball Cup in Namibia. The Kenyan team lost 62-40 to Malawi in their fourth match of the 2022 Commonwealth Game qualifiers. However, the team showed an impressive performance against neighbors Tanzania after claiming a 48-40 win.
Yes, Manuel, because everybody has all of a sudden just came alive in this match. And a beautiful overpass to the goal shooter for Kenya, and she puts it away.
We are pushing on, and our girls have been playing very hard this week. And for netball, every single score counts. It's a win. They actually consolidated, and then they are made to points. We are actually very grateful to the President of our Republic of Kenya for having made it possible for us to come to Namibia for these two major competitions. We are also very grateful to our very, very able CS, Amina Mohammed. She made it possible for us to have tracksuits, uniforms that we have been proud of as we wear them.
Goal shooter steps and she gets the rebound. She got the rebound. Another caution coming for the goalkeeper. And it is a goal scored for Kenya, and it is 40-60 to Malawi.
Handicap 26 golfer Tobias Messel carded a remarkable round of 41 points to emerge the overall winner of the 21st leg of the ongoing 2021 NCBA Golf Series, which was held at the Scenic Kericho Golf Club. His stellar outing of the event saw him secure a slot to play at the series grand finale, which will be held next month at the Current Country Club.
Thank you very much, Tobias. That's the winner for today. Make a flash up.
Also wish to express my profuse gratitude to the fellow team. We were with Kina Lola Kipmok and Singh and of course Harry from Nakuru. And I'd like to appreciate them actually because it was out of sheer hard work that we went through and of course we achieved.
That puts a cap to news this morning. Further details available on our website. Before we wrap it up and sample what is happening on our various dailies or has been captured on our various dailies, I just want to remind you that former President Mwai Kibaki marks his 90th birthday today. So happy birthday, sir. And quick question, what do you remember about Kibaki's tenure as Kenya's president? What I cannot forget about former President Mwai Kibaki is that when he was taking up office, he actually had a cast because he suffered an accident. He was in an accident, involved in an accident around that same period. And the infamous quote there that I have only one wife. I have only one wife, and she's right here. She's Mama Lucy. Yes. So what do you fondly remember of former President Mwai Kibaki today when he marks his 90th birthday? We're open. Tell us. Share with us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1 is our official station handle. My Twitter handle is at Brain Manyara. We have at Jane Wamboi as well as Victor Olo.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
The Amazons.
There is nothing else to say.
You're lying. Both of you.
The worst was that your father had me against my wish.
I don't care if everything points at him right now. I know he's innocent. He is innocent, and I have to tell him that.
You didn't have a mother because there were so many complications on your birth. But that wasn't your fault, my dear. I beg you. The Amazons.
Gari akiendi twazunguka tu tukizunguka.
Matatizo iko wapi?
Mama, sasa mimi nitajuaje na wewe ndio huwa wamfungia kule? Mimi sijui mama.
It has always been my idea.
And I'm telling you, kama ni mpango wako, let me tell you right on your face. You fail big time.
course they were. What way should I take it?
When His Majesty gets bored with her, I'll figure out a way to deal with her.
You say? See who's here?
Grandmother! Yan, how dare you kidnap the prince and threaten the Grand Emperor? You've got a lot of nerve. You dare talk back!
I'm the Emperor! My word is the law. Why should I do what you say?
All right, just behind the scenes, we are talking about what are some of the memorable moments about President Mwai Kibaki. Yes, he's still the president. Constitutionally, he can still be referred as President Mwai Kibaki, though he's former president. A lot has been said about President Mwai Kibaki, and happy birthday, Mr. President, wherever you are. All right, you served your nation pretty well, and I hope you're still enjoying your golf. Yeah. The witty moments, he was in every occasion, he made sure that he left people in stitches, and it was natural. You know, he never forced the jokes. It was natural. But for those people who interacted with him quite long enough, said that he was a brilliant, and he's still a brilliant fella. He was a lecturer, remember? He was a minister, and he was one of the coolest people. He never antagonized anyone. So enjoy your birthday. It's a blessing to see this day.
He was always a very chill president. He
Laid
never
back.
talked fast.
No.
Anaongea tu pole pole. Hata akikuita other names.
Yeah.
Pole pole tu.
He was calm. He's still calm.
Yeah, composure.
Yeah.
Nyinyi mnasema serikali saidia, nyinyi mtasaidia serikali lini?
Yeah.
Sasa nyinyi. We're actually looking at just one clip when he was speaking and his driver was moving the car.
Yes.
Ambia huyo arudishe gari.
Hata naona gari yangu inatoka pale. And it was natural, you know.
Yeah. That was quite something. Hatutasema hiyo.
Tutasema hiyo.
And I seated here, I'm looking at his tenure. In what you do not know is that former president, that is Emilio Mwai Kibaki, who is marking his his 90th birthday today, was part and parcel of the Vision 2030 blueprint. The making of it, and some of the fruits, including the SGR, yes, the standard gauge railway, were some of the projects that were, featured in that Vision 2030 blueprint that we continue seeing its developments. Further on in his tenure, we, realized economic growth. In some quarters, if you ask me, Victor and Jane, today, if I had the power to turn back the hands of time, at a time when we're seeking election, re-election, and such, in the campaign mood, I wouldn't mind another shot at a Kibaki presidency or a Kibaki tenure. That's just me. I don't know about you.
And let's not forget Mbagathi Way, now renamed to the Raila Odinga Way.
Yeah.
One of the longest lasting roads that we have in our country.
But also among the most expensive roads.
Looking at the distance.
Yes.
Yes.
But have you ever seen a pothole?
That's the thing.
No. I understand they use cement.
Yes.
Concrete as opposed to
yes,
the
tarmac
and
bitumen.
Bitumen. Yes.
Well,
so
Victor,
they use the technology. It's still working.
Before we go back, all that, let's sample what we have on our various dailies. To you, Victor.
All right, it was just, by the way, happy birthday, Mr. President. Okay.
Happy birthday.
So let's get into the headlines and see what's happening on our local dailies. It was a busy weekend, and on the front page of the Star, fresh turmoil rocks One Kenya Alliance as Musalia digs in. Fresh turmoil rocks One Kenya Alliance as Musalia digs in. New wave of backstabbing has hit the One Kenya Alliance. Musalia allies give Alliance December 26th deadline to name flag bearer. More details shortly. Ruto tells Uhuru, urging Jubilee supporters to back Raila is an insult. All right. Raila returns to coast to ring fence stronghold in 2022 general election. Details again, urging Jubilee to support Raila is an insult. That is according to Deputy President William Ruto. DP pledges to revive Big Four agenda, pump 100 billion shillings to create job opportunities. Deputy President on Sunday said President Uhuru Kenyatta's urging Jubilee supporters to back Raila Odinga is an insult to the party. Speaking in Uhuru's Mount Kenya backyard, he said that the president had overlooked dedicated Jubilee supporters in favor of his former nemesis, ODM leader Raila Odinga. The DP said urging Jubilee supporters to back Raila Odinga for the presidency shows contempt of his own party and its loyalists. So that was that. President Kenyatta arrives in Ethiopia, received by Prime Minister Abiy. President Uhuru Kenyatta on Sunday visited Ethiopia. He was received by Ethiopia Prime Minister, that is Abiy Ahmed Ali. Prime Minister Abiy confirmed Uhuru's arrival in a statement via Twitter. Last week, Ethiopian authorities rounded up high-profile Tigrayans, from a bank CEO to priests as well as United Nations staff, in a mass crackdown on suspected supporters of rebellious northern forces, according to people linked to the detainees. Now, police denied targeting the Tigrayan ethnic group, saying that those arrested were believed to have links to the Tigray People's Liberation Front, which has fought central government for a year now. So he's there to mediate on how sanity can be found in that particular country. No place for theatrics in Nairobi under my watch. That is according to Westlands MP Tim Wanyonyi. Battle for Nairobi's top seat takes shape as Westlands MP Tim Wanyonyi on Sunday officially launched his bid for the gubernatorial seat. Delivering his manifesto, the legislator promised to integrate ICT as a core enabler of functions and services by the Nairobi County. So he did that yesterday as he gears up towards 2022. ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna said, who was also present there, said that Wanyonyi was a symbol of hope for Nairobi, which has over the past 8 years witnessed a cycle of theatrics. Sad story there. Emotional burial from Vita MP staff killed in road crash. 4 people, that is Nasir's staffers, died after a car got tire burst and rolled several times. Story has it that they were heading to Lamu Peketoni to join the lawmaker at a function there before their car got a tire burst and rolled several times. Hundreds of mourners yesterday thronged 2 Muslim cemeteries in Mombasa to bury 2 of the 4 Vita MP Abdul Samad Nasir's employees who perished Saturday in an accident on Garsen Lamu Road. Ali Omar Naman and Athman Mohammed Omar died alongside Carol Wayua Mweni and Elysian Musyoka after the car they were traveling in got a tire burst and rolled several times. One died on the spot, while the others succumbed on the way to Mpeketoni Sub-County Hospital. The 2, that is Ali and Mohammed, were buried according to Islamic rites at Siragoi and Kikowani Muslim cemeteries. Grace to the affected families. And finally, fresh turmoil rocks One Kenya Alliance as Musalia digs in. Backstabbing has rocked One Kenya Alliance, with principles now apparently pulling apart as an ugly falling out appears to be in the offing. The One Kenya Alliance outfit, initially suggesting a third force or a 3-horse race, is teetering at the brink of disintegration allies of some of the principals have launched a lethal, quote-unquote, friendly fire. There is speculation that one principal is quietly considering joining Deputy President William Ruto's camp, although negotiations are yet to be concluded. The One Kenya quartet is yet to agree on a presidential candidate as the clock ticks towards 2022. So, how is it going to pan out? We've had this discussion over and over and over again, but we'll never stop talking about it. It's politics, and we have different angles to attack it. So they say, so many ways to kill a cat. And Jen is killing a cat right now with the Daily Nation.
Is it a cat or a rat?
Killing
Cat
a
a
cat.
rat.
It can kill a rat or
Ni
a cat.
paka ama panya, depending na mali tumetoka.
To kill a rat, you can kick it, you can give it poison, you can put a trap, or in the worst case scenario, burn down the whole house.
Ama unaifuata na basin, ukiona kanapita.
I hope you now know why you guys mko hapo kwa Lowlands. You don't know how to trap a rat using a basin. Okay, cheers.
You can.
Yeah, let's come to the Daily Nation. Let me just run you through the front page. Very many pictures have been featured here today. There you have it. Yes, that's a better view. So let's start with the story that you've just talked about, Victor, concerning what is happening within Oka, why Oka Unity has hit a turbulence when it comes to the choice of flag bearer, which is threatening to tear apart the alliance. And this is also followed by an incident that happened after a journalist received 2 invites, one for the function that was happening at the church, after which they were told they will be moving on to Kitengela, and then a bit later the ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi had sent out another invite for another separate function that the other principals had no idea about. We'll be giving you more details in a bit. Moving on to more politics, just coming to the main read before we sample the other stories here. Scramble for Ruto cash. And this is something that even the police, the national police, have now picked up on with the deputy president. He has been dishing out millions of shillings to hustlers, quote unquote, in his campaign, as he's been stopping different places across the country. But the handouts have sometimes led to fights among the beneficiaries, and as they jostle and scramble to get this money. And now this is something that has actually attracted the attention of the police, and they are now saying that this has come after the campaign financing regulations were thrown out the window, and they are now actually looking and watching closely. That story has been featured here on page 4 with let me see who spoke to this. Let me get this. Yes, the National Police spokesperson. She also blamed the chaos that rocked Kondele in Kisumu last week on this dishing out of money that the deputy president has been doing. But looking at the campaign coordinator in Kisumu for UDA, that is Luke Oko, who said that contrary to the 2 million that was being carried around, he was only given 100,000 Kenya shillings to provide security for the event, again saying that the police are only blaming them and they should actually do their job, and they actually dismissed these allegations that are being put forth by the national police, courtesy of the spokesperson. Now, moving on to education, university placement rules set for review, and there might be a new criteria that will affect Form 4 candidates starting next year when it comes to the requirements to for the entry level to universities. There's a meeting that is set to take place today. We'll be giving you more details as per who will be in attendance to this meeting. And still looking at education, student unrest, the problem within our schools. Most of the issues that have been mentioned here are things that have been there over time, but the one that they have actually said has been the biggest problem was the congestion that has come as a result of the 100% transition policy from primary to secondary schools. It is one of the reasons as to why we are seeing this unrest, at least as per what the stakeholders that are mostly the teachers are saying. And also there has been increased permissiveness in the society, leading to students actually emulating what they are seeing from the adults in their households. So that basically is what has been featured here on the front page of the Daily Nation. And then finally, concerning Kenya to introduce corona jabs for teens. The Pharmacy and Poisons Board is evaluating data on Pfizer vaccine and just seeing how it should be administered should they decide that teens are now allowed to take this particular vaccine. That is the Daily Nation for you this morning. Regina.
Sneak peek of the Standard that refers to itself as a bold newspaper, Kenya's bold newspaper. Well, it's neither here nor there. Front page, matters of politics. Mudavadi there tearing into Raila and Ruto pledges there. And the question is, where is the money? He's taking up issue with the 60,000 pledge by ODM leader Raila Odinga, as well as a bottom-up approach by the Deputy President William Ruto there. And he says that some promises are unrealistic, unlikely to lead to higher taxes or more debt burdens, and may in turn make the cost of living unbearable. That is ANC leader Mudavadi, Musalia Mudavadi, who says he's not going to support anyone else. He's there to the end. He's running his race to the end. A day in politics is quite a long time. We'll be here keenly watching on what happens in regard to this matter. Now, in as far as the OCA leaders are concerned, they say, or rather they have vowed to sustain a war on graft. The leaders promise zero tolerance to corruption in order to raise money for free secondary school education, reduce taxes by half, as well as support single mothers. Okay. That's what the OCA leader says, and that is what has found itself on the front page of the Standard this morning. Further on matters of national importance and talking about matters education, uproar over school fire penalties. The Ministry of Education, the Cabinet Secretary, has come out strongly, that is Professor Sir George Magoha, saying that no one else should bear the brunt of reconstructing these particular facilities other than the parents. Government is not going to chip in this. So there's been an uproar over school fire penalties. We have seen some of the statements, some of the monies required when these children are going back to school, up to the tune of between 20 to 10,000, and failure to which you're not given admittance back to the school. It's a high time we had this conversation on another level, so to speak, about insurance. That's what I'm thinking about. Insurance. Are our learning institutions insured against this damage to property? Are they? Underwriters? That is my question to you. You can chime in. Our Twitter handle is at KBC Channel 1. Talking about matters fuel, remember the cost of transport weighs heavily on household budgets, and there's been talk that further, if this transport costs that we would have actually gone up if the fuel prices went up, have remained the same, unchanged, or rather will remain unchanged for the next 30 days. That is according to the EPRA. And this is because of a fuel subsidy that has been taken care of by the Petroleum Development Levy. Remember, if you look at the taxes and levies that are meted on petroleum products, especially super petrol and diesel, there are a whole load of them. There's a railway maintenance levy, there's a petroleum development levy, there's so much there. Actually, there are around 7. And the finance committee, so to speak, has I think last month but one, called the EPRA acting DG there to try and explain why Kenya is paying a lot when it comes to, Kenyans are paying so much when it comes to super petrol and diesel. Yet our neighbors, Uganda and the likes, are paying the tune of 67 to 70 shillings per litre of super petrol. And there's been talk to try and bring the cost of fuel down. Feasibility of it, what it takes in the next 30 days, a fuel subsidy has ensured that the cost of super petrol remains as is, or as has been before yesterday midnight, or rather midnight this morning, give or take 12:01, 12, so to speak. So that is just a sneak peek of what we have on the front page of the Standard this morning. Remember, we did not have any matches of the EPL over the weekend, so there's not much to talk about. We're not going to talk about Chelsea, Arsenal, and Manchester United. There was no game. It's quite a boring weekend when there is no game.
Yeah, we have World Cup qualifiers.
We're going to be having a game today at 4 p.m. And when I say we are going to be having, I mean Kenya is going to be playing Rwanda at 4 p.m. at the Nyayo Stadium. Remember, this is just a formality. Kenya is already out of the race, to speak, in the World Cup qualifiers, the 2022 World Cup qualifiers. In Group E, we only have 3 points. That is behind Uganda and Mali, that is leading the pack at 13 points. So in summary, Harambee Stars World Cup qualifiers are as follows. So we drew with Uganda 0-0, Rwanda 1-1. That is Mali. Mali is as if they had come to play rugby with Harambee Stars there, having made 1 try. Those are 5 goals. The only thing they lacked is a conversion or 2. Otherwise, Kenya lost 5-0 to Mali. Then on a return, Kenya also lost 0-1 to Mali. And Uganda, we drew with Uganda 1-1. So today, 4 p.m., for all it's worth, let's exit, but at least beating Rwanda 5. Why not? We can do it, right? Yeah, that's what we have on the front page and the back page of the Standard this morning. Victor.
Okay. So I want to ask a very simple question. There is this term that has been used for quite some time: character development.
Actually, kuna watu walisema KICD stands for Kenya Institute of Character Development.
You get it. How did it come about? Where did it come about? What does it even stand for, loosely?
Loosely?
Your understanding? Yes, Jen?
Loosely, as per what I have understood from being used on the socials, is life ikikufundisha adabu, and especially for most it has been relationship wise. Nasema ile character development nimepigwa hapa. You know better. I came in this way, nimetoka nikiwa nimedevelop character wise.
So ulichezwa?
Haukuchezwa, ulifundishwa vitu huko unataka kufundishwa, lakini ulifundishwa by force.
Good side or the bad side of kufundishwa?
Mostly nakuanga mashida.
Mi spendi kufunzwa.
Your character is developed.
Yeah. Regina, what do you understand by character development?
Tuongee in terms of English ama lugha ya mtaa. Hii ni Kanairo.
Loosely.
If you have never experienced character development.
Hey, the what?
We understand.
The what?
We understand.
Development. Don't remind me, Jane, you said some people have freed.
That was off air.
Yes. Anyway, kama hujai kwa you've never gone through character development in Nairobi. Count yourself lucky. Pack your small belongings. Go back up country. Because you really never want to go through that. Character development hapa Nairobi imenionyesha maneno.
What is it?
Let's start off with, well, let me give you an example.
Yes.
And I'm not going to go through
explain your director amesema hajui.
So this is me shopping online. Shopping online, see some nice item. To be precise, you know, we borrow hair from horses and such and such. Mi niko hapo niko like, hii look inaweza.
Imkia iko sawa.
Imkia nikifanya tu.
I like that.
Mr. So-and-so will be confused, and if he's confused, I'm happy. Because I get things done. Right? Motivated like nobody's business. I pinch my coins here and here, do some savings. You see, hair is bought by the inches. Human hair, actually. If it's 20 inches, you're talking about 20,000. If it's 30 inches, you're talking about 30K.
The longer the hair, the more the price, the higher the price.
Victor, nyinyi wenye mnasema nyo safi kama balloon man.
Yes.
You should not, when you see a woman actually do this, same chezo, you know, flipping the hair, same chezo, up on the pesa investment iko. Now, digressing. So I get online, buy this item. Now, Liza, do you do COD? Cash on delivery? Sema hapana. Red flag. Then I look at all the comments there. I'm like, hey, this is very legit. So, kafunga macho. Nikafunga macho. Katuma pesa. Ding ding. Till number ata. Aya. I'm waiting. I am waiting from 8 a.m. Niko hapo.
Na uliambiwa inafika saa ngapi?
Wako town. 45 minutes. It's coming to the office. 8 a.m. 9 a.m. Now panic, kuna traffic. Then I'm thinking, kwani delivery and I drive. Okay, 9 a.m. 10 a.m. Nothing. 11, niko like, nimeibwa. So I call the number. Inalia inakatwa. Inalia ina disconnect. I am like, I go back to the page. Page nowhere.
User cannot be found.
Page missing. Page missing. Whoa.
Na sasa umetuma how much?
Please, nikisema sitapewa zingine.
So,
sponsor may not be willing to sponsor anymore.
Kusema nilibiwa. In other words, you've been given a character development.
Character development. My friend.
Proper
one. So
since that day.
Yes.
Shopping online. You bring the item.
Okay.
I interact with the gadget. Nagusa, naona iko real.
Yeah.
If it's an electronic, I even test if it's working. Then I pay.
Okay. So Regina, allow me to cut you short briefly. The reason why I asked this question of what do you understand by character development? People have it's been used to mean some other things. Okay. But my question is so simple. What is character? Are you a person of good character? It's of umechapa character development. Where hii Kenya hii Kanairo nini utachapa character. But on a serious note, are you a person of good character?
Do you have a character that
Do you have a character that you that you can stand somewhere and Jen can say Victor is a man of good character or Regina is a lady of good character? Jokes left aside and everything else. Have you ever asked that thing? You accept that question? We make jokes about it, hey, mazee. But ukiwa tu kwa kona tu pale and asking yourself, are you a person of good character? Let me give you some, it's called managementstudyguide.com. What character development is all about. It says that importance of character in personality development. So character development is here. So character refers to the sum of an individual's qualities and characteristics which differentiates him or her from others. An individual's character is actually an amalgamation of his or her qualities which makes him unique and helps him to stand apart from the rest. So a person of good character finds acceptance wherever he goes and respected by all. Character includes, not limited to, honesty, leadership, trust, courage, and patience. So are you a person of good character?
Hata mimi niko na swali. Huwezi kuwa unatuliza maswali on a Monday morning like that, then you just go scot free.
Si tuende break before muulize.
No, wacha nimpe time ya kufikiria.
Okay.
What is the difference between character and personality? Victor Olo.
It was not a matter of
Victor.
No, Regina.
We can Google.
We can Google so that we get it right.
Google.
Not to prove each other wrong or right in this situation. It was a point of driving a point home. You get it. Your personality and character are two different things. All right. So who is you? Who is Regina? What is your character? What kind of personality are you?
Actually, let me help. Let me assist.
You've asked Google.
No!
Okay, help us. Okay, help us. Help us.
I'm informing. I'm not even helping. Okay, so character is about your moral compass, your ethics.
Yes.
Sometimes it is founded on, your values, which actually form your personality. Your personality is those things that you do because of what you see yourself as. So if you believe and your values are, kindness is a virtue, you will be kind to people. You will be generous. You'll be as such. That is your personality. The view of yourself helps you act out that or do those things. Then there's character. Are you a person who is willing to do a bribe because you need to get things done? Haraka. So in one way or another, personality and character are meshed, but personality is more of you, inborn, what you believe you are. Then character, morals, ethics, do you have some, not, and such. So more or less the same. So yeah, since umetuliza mambo ya character development, as far as we are concerned, Victor, when you say character development in this Nairobi, people have suffered. Nata tujaingililia character development when it has Jen hata hajajibu swali ya character development.
No, as in just looking at the loose meaning and the actual meaning, they're one and the same. Because in life it teaches you, because it's about making you better, know better, developing yourself. And looking at the loose meaning, it's actually the same thing. You go through an experience, you know better. Looking at the dictionary meaning, it's about improving who you are and how you carry yourself. So they're all one and the same. Even yetu tunaitumianga sasa loosely, and especially in the recent past. Unasema ile character development nimepigwa huku. It's not a joke. It is not for the weak.
Victor, what has been your experience in this Nairobi? Juu unajua mimi na wewe ni wageni.
No. I don't need to go there. Sorry.
Character development has been real.
No. Good enough. I've been given that character development. I've developed myself to be where I am. Sijachapwa character development.
Najua your story. Let us catch a very quick break. We'll be back to continue with more of what the papers have for us today. The hashtag still remains to be Good Morning Kenya.
Teams that seek a maiden win in the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifiers play for pride. The Amavubi of Rwanda play the Harambee Stars, hoping that they can get a second point from them. Watch the match between Kenya and Rwanda on Monday, the 15th of November 2021 from 4 p.m. live on KBC Channel 1. Only available on Signet and free-to-air decoders.
The Amazons.
There is
nothing else to say,
You're
Eduardo.
lying. Both of you.
The worst was that your father had me against my wish. I don't care if everything points at him right now. I know he's innocent. He is innocent, and I have to tell him that.
You didn't have a mother because there were so many complications on your birth. But that wasn't your fault, my dear. I beg the Amazons.
Mulituita na tukaitika. Ndio maana tarehe 12 na 13 Kitweke FM ikishirikiana na Nema na kaunti za Nandi na Kericho inakuletea roadshow babu kubwa katika eneo la Bonde la Ufa. Tarehe 12 msafara wa Kitweke FM utapitia maeneo ya Mosoriot, Chepterit, Himaki, Namgoi, Kapsabet, Kaptumo na kisha tumalizie Nandi Hills. Tarehe 13 msafara wetu utaanzia Kipsitet, Kapsoita, Sosiota, Kabianga, Litein, Kapkatet, Kericho na kisha tumalizie Bruka. Tarehe 14 watangazaji wa Kitwek kuabudu pamoja na waumini wa kanisa la Voice of Gospel Church lililoko Ngoina Road. Njoo kutane na wanahabari na waenzi wa Kitwek FM.
8.0 Kitwek FM Kegosin.
Kupata skiza tune hii, Ufunuo wa Yohana 38 dial *811 *817 #.
Wakati mwingi katika maisha binadamu hujipata kwa shida, unapata ya kwamba hauna usaidizi unaohitaji, biashara zinaisha, hakuna mapato ya kila siku. Lakini hata kwa hayo yote, Biblia inasema ya kwamba katika kitabu cha Ufunuo wa Yohana mlango wa 3 mstari wa 8, na yajua matendo yako. Tazama, nimekupa mlango uliofunguliwa mbele yako.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya Yohana 38 dial *811 *817 #. Dial *811 *817 #.
Welcome back. This is still Good Morning Kenya, and we continue within the headlines. But in case you're just joining us, I am Jane Wamboi. We're glad you have chosen to start your morning with us right here on KBC Channel 1. You can check in and let us know where you're watching us from this morning. Use the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official handle is at KBC Channel 1, and our individual handles ever remain to be at Raymond Nyara, at Victor Olo, and at Jane Wamboi. Now, before we continue, I asked Google to tell me a lame joke. Are you guys ready for it? I don't think Vic alisikia. Regina, kama unaikumbuka usijibu. Why does the scarecrow keep getting promoted? Victor?
Ask Victor.
Why does the scarecrow keep getting promoted?
Scarecrow getting promoted?
Hey, it's a joke. Don't overthink it.
He's already overthinking.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Because it's outstanding in his field.
Booyah!
That's a good one. Na ingine, what's a bug's favorite sport? A bug, like, what's the favorite sport?
Kwa nywele.
I have no idea.
Cricket.
Nice one, I get it. Victor bado hajaribu
Pentium 94.
Yani Pentium 94 for real.
Aya, tuendelea na magazeti basi. So let's touch on this story concerning our schools. It talks of the problem with our schools as unrests continue to spiral out of control. So failure to comply with safety standards, the collapse of guidelines when it comes to counseling programs, increased permissiveness by society, some of the top reasons that stakeholders have said are, have blamed for the perennial unrest in our schools that we have been seeing almost on a yearly basis, except for 2020 where there wasn't much. And all this has always, in most cases, led to the loss of massive property and consequently huge financial burdens for our schools. But one of the new factors that they're now saying is the congestion in schools, which has been witnessed since the government introduced the 100% transition policy from primary schools to secondary schools, and yet they have not expanded the infrastructure capacity of most schools. So according to the Kenya Secondary School Heads Association, as well as the Kenya Union for Post-Primary Education, the congestion has made it so hard for teachers to enforce discipline amid stiff competition for the limited resources. Another person who was speaking to this is, let me get the name. Okay, before I get the name, they say that the public is also contributing to the learners' behavior. How are students expected to resolve issues amicably when they see adults resorting to violence in their homes? And this has mainly been attributed to the 10 months that kids were at home, and we can all attest to the fact that violence, and especially domestic violence, was on a steep rise. Looking at the 2019-2020 year, those 10 months that kids were at home, so many cases of violence were reported, and this is said to be one of the consequences, or rather the ripple effects of what that may have had, the impact it may have had on the kids. And this also goes back to a report that was done back in 2018, which was called Inquiry into the Wave of Student Unrest in Secondary Schools in Kenya for Term 2 in 2018. And but so far they're really looking into this concern about the role that the household has had in the unrest that we are seeing among the kids. And I'd like to hear from you guys. You know, do you think, personally, I think there is a link. Looking at this wave of unrest that we are seeing, our kids just wanaona shule inachomeka, then they go that way. They just choose violence over any form of healthy communicating their concerns to the schools. And this can be tied to the issues that they witnessed when they were home during the pandemic time, the 2020 academic year. Almost all of it was spent at home. Vic, do you think there's an actual link?
Okay. I cannot directly link it to what happened in during the pandemic, because the entire universe was affected.
Yes.
So it's not Kenya that really got that wrath of the COVID-19. So any student saying that they are being affected because of the COVID-19, talk about your parents. They were worst affected. Your guardians, the government, and everybody else. People lost their jobs. People lost everything. Okay. So if you say that it was because of the pandemic, I don't think that is a proper excuse. But then you said that some of the students are now going on to ban dormitories and all whatever because they've had it happening in different institutions. That is what we call peer pressure. All right. And just to ask a question, the moment you are a student and you're burning down your dormitory, you go back home, your parents are being told, like for example, Kakamega High School, they were charged 9,000 shillings and some hundreds. Someone is coming from a poor background and you expect them to pay that 9,000 bob. I really don't think students should link whatever happened during the pandemic, because if anything, they are in school, they have got all their meals catered for. So you cannot say that they are feeling the pinch of the COVID-19 while in school. It's their parents and guardians who are still feeling that pinch out here. So if you ask me, I don't think they should link the two. Jen?
Ray, stakeholders are saying there's a link with the wave of violence that we saw when schools were closed, kids are at home with their parents, their caregivers, and this is one of the ripple effects of that. Poor forms of communication.
You see, I'm of a different opinion though. When you talk about school unrest, it hasn't started in 2021. We experienced it way in the 90s, the 200s, and it's always a wave every second term, every longest term. The only thing that this has done, or rather this situation has done, is that it has exacerbated it because of the COVID-19 disruptions. Further on, there's so much that meets the eye. And I remember our sermon yesterday in church. Actually, one of the school counselors said that children, right now, teenagers are dealing with so much. And they even don't have a let out of release, and also parents and teachers do not have that time to actually have that conversation and find out what is happening. Maybe they're doing it to, try and let out steam or communicate something that has not been communicated adequately as they should. But I would not entirely blame it on the COVID-19 disruptions, because school unrest is something that the education system has dealt with way from the early 2000s all the way to now. It seems that we keep on keeping it cyclic, one way or another. There's something needs to be done. I think kids need to be talked to more.
Yes.
And I also think there's also a lot of pressure to perform. Remember, we are transiting into CBC. But in as much as we are transiting into CBC, we have students who are already in the old system. And the old system, in abolishing the 844 system, it was performance-based, so to speak. So there's a lot of pressure. I'm imagining the candidates you're going to be having in 2023. The pressure they'll have gone through, 2024 the same, until we get back to a fully transition. So there's lots of pressure, and we're all trying to adopt. So the blame doesn't solely lie with COVID-19. There are very many other factors that are, contributing to this. I just think we also need to give a listening ear to our kids more. And it's not the guidance and counseling where you're called in and you're told about boy-girl relationship. It goes beyond that. Because if I go back to our guidance and counseling sessions, it was all about that. Then over the weekend, mnaekewa paraffin kwa githeri. I still don't understand that. It did not help me one bit. So I think we need to listen to these kids more. That's my take.
Here they just termed the pandemic as a new factor among the many that have always been there, the ones that we have been dealing with as a country for a long time. And they also go ahead to say that this particular committee identified lack of communication between parents and teachers and learners, as well as over strictness at home and at school, and consequently insufficient training when it comes to school management, are contributing to this wave of unrest that we are seeing among the students. So not to say that the pandemic was the sole reason as to why we are seeing this, but it has been approached as a new factor that is contributing to some of these issues that we are seeing among our schools. Ray.
Now I want to take, before we cross over to another, just an opinion piece here, an analysis of what is happening as far as matters politics is concerned, as captured by this particular daily. I would want to draw your attention to a story there talking about school unrest and such, and who bears the cost. There's an opinion piece here. They want to believe that the person who is, contributed to this is a parent, so to speak. And they're saying even the reintroduction of corporal punishment is not going to stop the school unrest. And I'm with them. I'm with him. Actually, it's a she, Vivian Oresha. So, the introduction of the cane in schools cannot deter rogue students from their evil schemes. Abolition of boarding school is not an answer either, because it will not be possible for students who stay places far from school to become the scholars unless parents start transferring students to nearby schools. So leaders should await results of investigations that seek to establish the root cause of arson in school. The DCI should take keen interest in principles of the school that have been burnt and establish the root causes. I like the direction that Vivian Oresha from Narok has taken in chiming in this conversation about reintroduction of caning and the school unrest. While that is happening, parents of students in Kakamega High School have taken issues with the monies that have been asked to pay up to have the children come back to school. And they have raised questions over the criteria used to come up with the cost of damage per student. And each student is required to pay 9,800 before they are allowed back to school today.
And how many are they in the school? Have they given a figure?
They haven't given a figure. However, the total sum that the school is demanding for the repairs is 21.6 million shillings. 21.6 million shillings. So, according to a letter drafted by the Parents Teachers Association, they question the formula used by the management to arrive at the cost, which they insist are unrealistic. was the assessment of the fire, that is the damage, carried out by a competent professional. Can we have a second opinion on how the figure of the renovation looks way above the expectation of stakeholders? Yes. Earlier, the school board had issued a notice asking parents to collectively pay 21.6 million shillings before learners are allowed back to school. The notice of the board is dated November 11th and said the Ministry of Transport, Infrastructure and Housing had helped them estimate the cost of damaged dome to be 12 million. So it also ordered parents to pay 695,420 for the purchase and the installation of CCTV camera that was destroyed in the fire, 4.2 million for buying metal double-decker beds, and another cost of 4.5 million shillings, which the management said it will use to purchase other items destroyed. So the board, the PTA has met over the weekend, and they say we need to be told the role the security company played to avert this damage. Could this be an abdication of duty, and if yes, what responsibilities are they taking? This are Parents and Teachers Association coming out to say, 21.6 million is a bit above expectations, and we want to know the criterion. While others are chiming in and saying, what responsibility did the security team bear in this? Was it a case of abdication of duties? And if so, what role, or rather, what are they going to bring to the table in as far as the repairs of this particular property is concerned? So much is happening. But at the end of the day, what students and pupils need to know is that it's the parents who is going to bear the brunt of your misconduct in school.
Kiboko irudishwe isirudishwe.
You see,
Kiboko irudishwe isirudishwe.
Regina, you know what happens is, when it comes to money matters, it's always very sensitive. It's always sensitive. Even if they said that every student was to pay 2,000 shillings, someone had to raise a point. 2,000 shillings kwa nini? It's always very sensitive. But then, parents will ask that question, but to the students, do you really understand what your guardians are now going through to pay that amount? It sounds like, I don't know how to put it, but as a student watching this show right now, perhaps some of your parents are not able even to get 2,000 shillings. Your mom or your dad will wake up every single day at 4 a.m. We call them watu wa jua kali. During weeding season, they go around the simple jobs around the village for you to get that money, the casual laborers, for you to go back to school. And then now you're telling this old man to pay 9,000 shillings. That's what we call, you're giving your parents, how do you call it? Lifestyle diseases.
Jumulichoma dormitory.
Just think about it, because that 9,000 bob, and probably you're not even alone. You have like 3, 4, or even 5 kids who are also going to school. I mean, students, wherever you are watching this show, stop this. Stop it. Stop it. It doesn't matter whether it was pandemic, whether there is no dialogue, but it doesn't justify you to burn down,
destroying property,
to destroy property, to burn down a school. It doesn't justify that. One day you'll become a parent, and you know what goes around comes around.
Full circle.
It's a full cycle. It's never. There's no gap somewhere. You will feel it at some point along the line in life.
Well, unfortunately, the truth of the matter is, our children would never understand what it takes to be a guardian or a parent.
Yeah.
They will never. They will get it when they're here, where we are right now as parents and guardians.
When they know better.
Yes. But right now, I think we need to go deeper and understand this cyclic wave of school unrest. Because during the 844 system, devoid of the COVID-19 situation and disruptions, the second term was always a problem. And especially around this time when candidates would be sitting for their exams. You know, it would be a tense moment. So we need to go further and interrogate issues behind, you know, this school unrest. And I believe the case in school A is not the same in school D or F for that matter. That these situations are very individual depending on the learning institutions. And I think these reports also need to be made public. That school XYZ was closed indefinitely, and the findings of the report indicate that it was a collusion between the teachers and the students because, for example, they were not happy with the latest move by the management, either to increase, you know, let's have the report made public so that people can know, and it can go in history that school A fire was caused because of XYZ, and this was the action that was been taken.
Actually,
that
Regina,
will avoid blanket, you know, blanket assumptions that it's because of COVID and pressure and
You know, the last report that was done was this one that I had briefly mentioned that was done in 2018. The report on inquiry into the wave of student unrest in secondary schools in Kenya in term 2, 2018. And according to this research, the causes of students' indiscipline included limited professional guidance and counseling in school, increased permissiveness and a laissez-faire approach in the society, failure to address indiscipline among transferred learners, exam stress, promise of exam leakage, and a long second term. And this was as per this particular document was prepared by the Education and Research Committee of the National Assembly that was chaired by Julius Melly.
Around 2-3 days ago, Interior PS Kamaza Kibisho was speaking to addressing a press during a function, and he said, he gave an example that he called actually a very young girl and said, you want us to start negotiating and having a dialogue with a 6-year-old child on the importance of not burning a school. And he was so passionate about that talk. And he even alluded to the reintroduction of corporal punishment in schools. And even some of the clergy last week also called for the reintroduction of corporal punishment. This is something that was banned by the government way back in 2011. And talks along the corridors, you know, are pointing towards the introduction of that. Okay, let's take a break before we take our corporal punishment here in studio. We will be back with more after this break.
They were. What way should I take it?
When His Majesty gets bored with her, I'll figure out a way to deal with her.
Who's here? See who's here?
Grandmother! Yachen, how dare you kidnap the prince and threaten the Grand Emperor? You've got a lot of nerve. You dare talk back!
I'm the Emperor! My word is the law. Why should I do what you say?
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Abantu ba Minto Mbuyamole. Your favorite Ekegusi station, Minto FM, is now at your doorstep. Enjoy the hottest Kisi music, informative and entertaining shows, and reliable news only on Minto FM. Tune in to Minto FM on 91.7 FM in Nyamira, Kisii and its environs. Minto FM.
Okay, so the director has decided to catch me off guard. We will do this. All right, so we want to talk about issues affecting us as a nation. The issue of the political parties. A lot has been happening across the country in the past few days, that is the past few days or so. And we just need to interrogate how it's been happening here in the country. And most importantly, how the political landscape is now changing, albeit slowly, but faster, that as we head towards 2022, it's going to be that particular need, hour, and period where Kenyans, the political cycle is going to be. So I'm joined by one gentleman and a lady via Zoom who are going to be helping me to understand this pretty well. Wakili Joe Halende, I hope I got it right. Umwami.
Yes.
Is it Halende or Kalende? Halende. All right. He is a political analyst and as well as aspiring member of parliament, Matthias constituency. I'll also be joined briefly by Tabitha Ogutu. He is a governance expert as well as a political analyst, so that we understand what is happening across the country, politically speaking. To start with you, Joe, first of all, good morning to the show.
Yes, good morning, my brother.
From whatever part of the country watching from, tell us where you're watching from and how was the weekend?
Yes, I'm in Nairobi here, Kitusuru, and everything is okay. It's just from Kitusuru side is very chilly. Yeah. And the weekend was full of political activity. I'm just back to Nairobi from Matthias, and everything is well. And Kenya as a country, being a political country, it's the right time where the real people on the ground are giving their views, they are sharing with us, and what they didn't get from the current leaders. And the way forward is that come 2022, August, there's going to be a revolutionary change on the ballot.
Yeah. A revolutionary change in the ballot.
Yes.
I'll come to you briefly as we talk about 2022 and how the politics is going to be, how it's going to be conducted come next year. But so to speak,
yes.
From the newspaper headlines here, there is a turmoil that is already cooking in the One Kenya Alliance. The front page of the Star newspaper, fresh turmoil rocks One Kenya Alliance as Musalia digs in. And now, of people and even political analysts, you included in different quarters, have said that One Kenya Alliance was just a formation that was somehow, the principle were honest. Could you say that?
I've always held an opinion that Oka is a mirage. Oka was something that was occasioned by bitterness, by the same principle after the fallout in NASA. It was not a well thought out process or a well thought out coalition. And at one point, Oka was referred to Cerelac coalition. So that tells you the opinion that the public held against the Oka, and Oka themselves did not believe, and up to today, they don't believe that they are a strong coalition, to the extent that they are still expecting one honorable gentleman, Raila Amolo Odinga, will come from wherever he is and join them to make them a strong coalition. Going forward for Oka, it is either they pick one of their own to go to the ballot as a third horse, or they dissolve and join whichever camp they will decide. But the race for 2022, the dice has already been cast. It will be between Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga and one gentleman called Dr. William Samoei Ruto.
Right. And it was perceived to be during the formation stages that it was going to be the third force, or the third horse, so to speak. Is that the situation right now, or the tide has changed?
The tide was against Oka from the start. They wasted a lot of time clinging to BBI and clinging on Raila's court until Raila schemed and revamped himself to be a political force going to 2022.
Yes.
As we speak now, they only have two choices. One is to back one of their own up to the ballot and remain relevant going forward to 2027, or they dissolve and join the two camps. Because if you look at from their perspective and the politics that they have been playing the kind of the tribal kingpin kind of politics, which is outdated as we speak now. And that has put them in an awkward position where it's either for Kalonzo to vie or go in oblivion, because the governor from his backyard, the three governors, that is Mutua, Charity Ngilu, and Kibwana, have already joined the Azimio La Umoja coalition, where they are saying if Kalonzo is going to come to Azimio, he must come as an equal principal with those three governors. So Kalonzo's backyard, his kingpin in his backyard, has already the land has already been stolen from him. You go to one gentleman called Mudavadi, the man from Mululu. He has wasted a lot of time and a lot of energy in boardroom, but next thing that the likes of Oparanya have gone to ODM, the likes of Boni Halwale, the likes of Rashide Chesa and Washali, they are already with the UDA. So Mudavadi is seen as a stranger in Jerusalem, in his own backyard. So he either chooses to go with those who are in Azimio La Umoja, or to join William Ruto with the likes of Boni Halwale, or remain steadfast and go to the ballot and manage to get the votes that he will get and remain relevant in that way.
Okay. Allow me to introduce Tabitha Oguta at this particular point. Tabitha, if you can now hear me. Tabitha, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, fantastic. We have just started our conversation. Perhaps you take a chance and greet your audience from whichever part of the country you're watching from.
Good morning, Kenya. My name is Tabitha Oguta. Tuning in from Siaya County. Yes.
All right. From Nairobi to Siaya. That's a nice one. Okay. Tabitha, we are talking about One Kenya Alliance, and from what is happening and what's in the local dailies, that there is a turmoil. There is some kind of pressure mounting amongst the One Kenya Alliance principals. What do you really understand? Have they been beaten in their own game thus far?
I think this is a very good conversation to have at this time, considering what we are seeing in the Oka camp. First of all, these principles, if you look at Mudavadi, for example, with this illusional idea of them of united Mulembe community, basically, if they can't even bring their communities together to speak one language, to even, vote for one of them to be a president at that level of Mlembe Union community, and then they want to think that they can bring all Kenyans to, to back one of them as the president of this country, I think is a bit of illusional, or it's an overthought kind of an idea. So at this time, I think what they're doing in joining camps which are established and have good structure is something that maybe we'll see some of them leave for a long political career, or even have something to do, or even vie bigger during the next general election. Been structured well enough, even have the tyranny of numbers. If you look at the politics that the ODM party, for example, is able to pull, and how we are seeing him advance the country and the kind of following he has, there is some strategy that they have well laid out. So I think for they can't honestly survive by just themselves coming together and saying that they want to vote one of them to be the president if they can't join the other camps, because they literally do not have the goodwill, even the tyranny of numbers. Because you've just said that, for example, Kalonzo Musyoka, I don't know, but even in his own place, the Ukambani, they are not united, behind him. They are disintegrated. So not unless they work with their regions, and they follow examples of the political legends like Raila Odinga. If you come to the western parts of Kenya, I'll tell you without fear of contradiction that Raila has managed to literally win many counties, and even the leadership of the counties of these western parts of Kenya. So they need to literally, work on their locations, work in their regions, and then now as Kenyans now we can say, at least they have numbers in their places. Now what do we do now to, put them forward and even look at their manifestos moving forward? I think I'll say that at the moment.
Tabitha, you've raised a very interesting point there, but allow me to ask this. By the time One Kenya Alliance was being formed, ODM leader Raila Odinga was still 50-50. Nobody knew whether he was going to vie, or, well, there were pointers then. But then it has now come to the fore and is now open, and people can easily say that Honorable Raila Odinga is going to be in the ballot come next year. So perhaps have they been completely overrun by the ideas? Because they're not able to come. They have been pushing their events until now. They're saying they're going to name their flag bearers sometimes in December.
So I think this is just one of those political games or schemes, if you ask me. You can't tell me that Raila has not been knowing that he wants to be the president. Is he moving across the country, and what was the essence of him even having the handshake in the first place? It was just all about goodwill and strategizing himself for 2022. So this is just a political game, and I think for Oka, I would just say point blank that some of them are the best leaders we have in this country. If you look at Mudavadi and how he speaks about some of the things that needs to be done in this country. If you talk of Kalonzo Musyoka, they're great minds. But you see, if you ask me, I'll say that politics is about how strategized you are. I think they started quite well, but as a camp itself right now, it's not in a very safe place that we can say they can plot for somebody as a president and they will have their say at the end of the day. They can do it, but not in 2022. It's still something that they need to consider. I think if they camp, let's say, for example, ODM, I do not know which camp they want to join themselves, and then they form a very strong block of political coalition, then I think the future of Oka now will be even more stronger and promising than what it is at the honestly speaking. I do not think they can pull a crowd or even tyranny of numbers. It's an oversight.
Okay, let me bring here Joe. So what are some of the options left for One Kenya Alliance?
There are no options for One Kenya Alliance. This kind of scavenger kind of politics do not help, or this kind of kupita katikati yao kind of politics, because from the look of things,
All right. Okay, so Joe, we'll come back to you briefly. We rectifying, the technical bit of that. Just hold on there, Joe. We are talking with Joe Halende, who is a political commentator as well as a political analyst, and is also vying for that political seat at Matayos constituency. And we also have Tabitha Ogutu, who is a governance expert and a political analyst as well, joining us live from Siaya County. We are just trying to dissect the One Kenya Alliance and understand how the whole outfit is now being formed right now. As it is, there are some accusations amongst the principals that there's a disquiet, and now as it is, Musalia Mudavadi, who is the ANC party leader, is lifting that lead that is now raising a lot of concern on the stability of that particular outfit. So moving forward, they formed the One Kenya Alliance with a vision and a mission to run for presidency come next year. But then all the pointers and the most, including the analysts that we have right now, are saying that, the race is between the two gentlemen. That is Deputy President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga. Are we going to have another third force or another third horse for that matter? And if so, who is going to benefit amongst the One Kenya Alliance principles? We have got ANC's Musalia Mudavadi, Ford Kenya's Moses Wetangula, and Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka, as well as KANU's chairman and recent Senator of Baringo, Gideon Moi. So who is going to benefit out of all this, having in mind that ODM leader Raila Odinga has completely hit the ground running with his Azimio la Umoja campaign, and the Deputy President's clarion call of bottom-up economy approach. So the two gentlemen have their manifesto and their campaign slogan up and running. We've not heard any from the One Kenya Alliance principles or who is going to be the flag bearer. So moving forward, I also need you to understand, let us understand and engage us what you think the gentlemen should do and even how is going to happen. So we have got Joe back. Joe, continue. What are some of the options left for the One Kenya Alliance principles?
With the scavenger kind of politics that OKA are playing, they don't have, they will not get what they deserve. They will get what is remaining in the political scene that they can scavenge for. But going forward, for Mudavadi, according to me, I think Mudavadi can still salvage his political career and be a credible presidential candidate come 2032. Yeah. Not 2022, not 2027. Mudavadi has to bite the bullet and support either William Ruto or go it alone in 2022 and 2027. And he must make sure that by the end of 2027, he has credible number of MCAs, credible numbers of MPs and governors in his backyard. For Kalonzo, he's as old as Raila. After 2022, he's done.
Okay, when you talk about his, I think nationally, so to speak, right?
Our kind of politics always originate from where you come from. If you don't build a strong base from where you come from and be able to show your people that you can take them through a journey or a place, then it means you cannot be able to transverse this country and convince very many people. But also to buttress that point and argue on the other way around, Mudavadi seems to have worked on his communication bit, where he has think tanks and he has people who do the thinking and give him the script. He mastered the script. But there are two problems that Mudavadi seems to have. Making that critical decision and two, working the ground. The new politics that we have in this country, it tells you that if you are a good strategist, if you are a good politician, you can be good in boardroom and thinking. But you need to go down to the masses. Because I can assure you in 2022, by March 2022, all these presidential candidates will be forced to do village by village campaigns. With Mudavadi, we are not seeing that. With William Ruto,
he has moved from county headquarters. He's going to sub-county headquarters. So that tells you that by next year, February, William Ruto will be doing a village-to-village political campaign. So we are not seeing that with Mudavadi and the Oka team. Yesterday, they were in Kajiado. They are going to disappear. We will see them on a press conference on Friday. Then we see them another rally on Saturday. Then they disappear.
Okay.
So
let me bring in Tabitha at this particular point. A very interesting point that you've raised, Tabitha. So what should be happening in the One Kenya Alliance outfit? Because the principals, the three of them, perhaps we can assume that they are not yet ready to name their flag bearer. What could be hiding them back or holding them back for that matter?
That's a very good question to start at looking at this issue, if you ask me. For me, I think I'll say that what is holding them back to even name their flag bearer is basically the numbers they can pull at the moment. If you look at, for example, Honorable Gideon Moi, how well this traversed the county and what is the people's perception or even welcoming of him? How well does he relate to the people? Can he come to a place like, maybe can he go to a place like the coast? And what numbers can he pull there if you were to do just a general, survey about that? So I think some of the issues they look at, they can't, they do not really have a person or let's say a presidential candidate that they can plot at this point that will say that we'll have tyranny of numbers. There was no strategy or a structure that was laid from the onset of formation of OCA that saw them, managed to even interact with people and even have some of these guarantee that if one of them was plotted to be a president, then they're going to win. A good case in study is what Joseph has mentioned a few minutes ago. For example, if you look at the Honorable William Ruto in Rift Valley, at least you can say that charity begins at home. At least he has blessings from his people, and so when it comes to the national table, then we cannot start now talking about what can he get from the central parts of Kenya, what can he get from Nyanza, at least because in Rift Valley we are rest assured that if we were to go to the polls, then there is no candidate that will outdo the deputy president in his place. So even as we talk about the politics of integration and what it will form the basis of how these people will show up in the national table when they're vying, then the OCA principles, none of them has that. Like I mentioned, even Mudavadi has not been able, since he's been in the political realm for so many years as a national political leader, he's not been able to pull the Mlembe community together. They're so divided, they can't even plot to Mudavadi themselves and say Mudavadi is the person you want to lead as the president. So how can we trust him, So
Tabitha, allow me to interrupt. Then, just a free advice from a political governance and an expert's point of view. What do you really think that the principals should do, at least to bring them back to, the stability and the strength that we want to see in them? Free advice.
Number one is that they should, for now, forget about plotting one of them to be a president and join a camp that is stronger. With that, also, they will be able now to strategize better for 2027 and 2032, and maybe one of them can be the president. But for now, let them shelf their interest or wanting one of them to be a president. Let them join a stronger camp, a stronger candidate, and then form a very strong political bloc, and then they can push even the agenda forward together with a presidential candidate of their choice that they see can, win or even bring something on the table come 2022 presidential elections. That is my honest opinion, if they can buy it.
Okay, Joe, perhaps, do you really agree with what Tabitha is saying? Your free advice to the One Kenya Alliance principles?
Two options. One, Tabitha has raised to join either of the camp. Two is for Mudavadi to be endorsed as the OCA principal. Mudavadi should not wait for the endorsement from Kalonzo or Gideon. Mudavadi should go head on to the ground, and Mudavadi should not drag himself into pulling of crowds kind of politics that he is seeing the heavyweights William Ruto and Raila doing, because that one unajua kwa Kiswahili they say usishindane na ndovu kwenda choo utapasuka msamba. So what Mudavadi should concentrate is he has the right message and he should do town hall meetings sub-county by sub-county. The gentleman need to shed some weight and go on the ground so that he can sell his agenda, the pesa mufuko mashinani or kind of thing that is trying to grapple with, and the reduction of taxes, because it's one and it's actually he's just speaking to a section of the hustlernomics. So he needs to take his message to the ground. He needs to relate with people in Turkana. He needs to relate with the people in Mona. He needs to relate with the people in the coast. And the only way you can do that, since he does not have that oomph, that political, like the likes of William Ruto and Raila, he needs to start from the ground. The moment he will start doing that from the ground, you will hear his ratings. If you do an opinion poll after a month, the ratings will start going up. Then that will give a relevance or a bargaining power going to the ballot next. And whoever will win, generally, if you look at our history, our political history, after you have won an election with a margin of less than 1 million, you will always struggle for 1 or 2 months to gain that legitimacy. So he will make himself relevant to anybody, to whoever will win the 2022, so that he joins that camp. He does a post-election coalition agreement with whoever will win and make himself relevant going to 2027 and 2032. But that makes it that the bottom line is that the 2022 race right now it's between William Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga. For simple reason, William Ruto has managed to sell his idea.
I think they're having a problem with Joe there. Joe, we'll get back to you. Tabitha, Joe, from what Joe is saying, that One Kenya Alliance now must just have to reconsider their stand. But then, I mean, rumors has it that sometimes, one of them probably is planning to move towards Deputy President William Ruto's camp. Who do you think is, in your own speculation, would stand to win out of this?
In regards to whoever is moving to Deputy President William,
speculations that one of the principals is actually templating to move towards the DP's hustler nation. Political suicide or great move politically?
I would say that the Deputy President, if you ask me, is proved of so many things of late, and that makes him a good politician. So I would say that whoever moves towards him, it will be a political suicide either way. But if you look at the structure that we have at the moment, and who really stands to win, like what Joseph said, is basically, the competition is between the former Premier, Honorable Raila Odinga, and the Deputy Honorable William Ruto. But either way, if, for example, Kalonzo today decides to the Hustler Nation's camp, then maybe he has seen that maybe some of his ideas and his political career will survive the course of time if he joins that there, because maybe the ODM and the coalition they're going to form ahead of 2022 general elections is not something favorable for him. Maybe he's not going to be able to reap anything out of it. They're also looking at what am I going to be able to get at the end of the day. And so it's just about playing politics of mind. What am I getting? Politics is about what am I going to get at the end of the day. So maybe what he wants, something that the ODM and the coalition, maybe they're going to, because we have not seen coming out clearly and saying this is what we are forming ahead of the elections, our political bloc, which we are really waiting for as the former premier is presidential candidature. So what we want to see moving forward basically is just, number one, to have sanity as Oka. even as they move to the other political divides and political coalitions, we need to see them having sanity and just Kenyans understand that, as us, we came together as OCA for this and this reason, which has not been very clear, because what we are seeing, why OCA was formed basically is to root for a presidential candidate, which even as we move closer to the election, we are seeing they can't even, sustain tyranny of numbers. So that clarity needs to come from them. And also, if they are dividing and going to other camps, I think also it will be very wise that they move to one camp, not one of them going to one camp, another one going to another one. It will make them look very divided, and we do not know if you can trust them moving forward. So let them speak as a unit, as even they join other as a unit, not as individuals moving to other. It will look that they form this thing out of individual self-gain and things like that. Yes.
You've raised a very point there. You said that during the formation stages, they perhaps had an idea that they were going to front a presidential candidate, but now things are slowly changing. And is it a matter of mistrust amongst the principals, or just about the interest?
I think they know quite well. You see, it's so obvious, like we said earlier. They know quite well that indeed they're great leaders. First of all, OCA is made of we have had, like we can have in this country, if you ask me. They have great minds, they have great even manifestos that can push this country forward. What they lack is maybe strategy that will enable them. It's one thing to have something on the page, it's another thing to make it practical. So the practical nature of it is what makes us doubt if they can pull tyranny of numbers. Because like we said, we cannot sit down here and say that, of course, if you want to be a president, then you're a national figure. But it has to begin from your background. What are they saying about you? Do they even trust you in the first place to even give you their votes as the president? Do you even have their blessings from home? Then if we can start that conversation, and then at the rest of Kenyans, then we'll say, okay, if these people already can manage to pull this number of people or crowd or even counties behind them from their places, because we will say that we need that blessings. If you look at the current president, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, he had a lot of support from the central people of Kenya. And even as he was traversing the country and asking for blessings from Kenyans, because even you're president, you're a national figure, then it was apparent that at least he had a backing from somewhere. So if we cannot see that from an individual who wants to be a president, then I think it's an overstatement. So what they saw as OCA Alliance is the basic fact that still they have a long ways to go. They need to get down to the grounds. We don't need to just see them on the screens. Let them go to the places in the country, and the strategies. But the only way they can do this at the moment is by backing a presidential candidate that is promising. If they decide to back Honorable William Ruto, well, good. It's their own political decision. If they want to back Honorable Raila Odinga, is also well and good. It's their own political decision. But at the end of the day, right now, we can sit down here and say, if, for example, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka for presidency, he'll get it. That is something that is an overstatement, if you ask me. It's not yet.
Okay, all right. Joe, before we go on a very short break, Joe, now the president has invited the three principals and actually the four principals for a dialogue. We've seen them in the public domain, sometimes in Mombasa. Reports have it that they've been even invited in Nairobi State House. But it seems that they are quite determined to go the long hog. Or could it be a political tactic?
Nothing like a political tactic there. What these gentlemen... You see, if you look at the four gentlemen, that is Mudavadi. Mudavadi is a respectable leader back in his backyard. I come from Busia. Mudavadi is a respectable leader in the whole of Mulembe Nation. And across the country. You look at Kalonzo. Kalonzo is a respectable fellow in Ukambani and across the country. You look at Wetangula. Wetangula fairly is respectable, but not quite much. Then you get Gideon Moi, who, if you remove his surname, there's nothing there. But what these people have been capitalizing, they have been capitalizing on endorsement from one President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. But the endorsement is not enough. Endorsement is not enough. You need to work on the ground. You need to get your strategy right. You need to put boots on the ground. All along from 2018 up to today, William Ruto has been portrayed as a pace setter in the political arena. Right now, he's no longer a pace setter. He's a credible contender to 2020. Now, if a pace setter in a race has set a certain pace, if you are in that race, you need to up your game and pull up your socks so that you that the is as set for you guys. But these gentlemen have refused to raise their and up their game, because politics is a game of possibility. But with their strategy, they have made it to be a impossibility for themselves, because they needed to up their numbers. They needed to go and work the ground, because this kind of posturing of keeping tribal politics is outdated. Currently, the politics that Kenyans are attracted to and the Kenyans are loving is the issue-based politics. Kenyans are falling for this half-nation agenda. Kenyans are behind this Azimio la Umoja agenda. So the four gentlemen need to get their message right. They need to sell their product to Kenyans, and Kenyans will accept them. But if they continue going round and round and trying to twist a contender to endorse them, because look at this kind of statement from Kalonzo Musyoka, that when Raila and William Ruto will be done with going around the country, finally they will come to Nairobi and endorse him. For heaven's sake, who endorses a lazy person? Nobody. The society despises the lazy ones. So Kalonzo needs to stop this kind of lazy politics and this kind of kupita katikati yao. Those kind of politics are long gone. Get the message right. Speak to the economic situation that we are having in the country. How are we going to the lives of millions of Kenyans? COVID is with us. COVID has led to massive job loss in this country. COVID affected our health sector. So you need to have a message. You need to have a plan and agenda to the country that speak to the economy, that speak to the health sector, that speak to the farmers and our agriculture in this country. If you don't get that right, you are not with the Kenyans. Even if you come from Ukambani and you do not sort the issues that the Ukambani people are raising, you have a problem. They will with you. Even if you come from Western. And let us remind our viewers one thing, that these gentlemen are posing as kingpin, but if you go to the ground, the real facts, Kalonzo does not have a governor from Ukambani. Governor of Machakos is Chap Chap. Governor of Kitui has his own political party. Governor of Nani has his own political party. Go to Western. Mudavadi does not have a governor. It's only Wetangula who has as a senator, himself as a party leader, and his governor, who was in Azimio la Umoja. Out of 9 MPs, 6 in Bungoma County are supporting William Ruto. Out of the population in Western, Mudavadi has 11 MPs. So it can tell you that, look at Gideon. Gideon doesn't have MPs in his political party. So that tells you that these people are just posturing, but they do not even have the numbers required back in their backyard. Because for a very long time, they have been posing as tribal kingpins and sitting on behalf of their community. But people have discovered, nowadays politicians say, wajinga wameisha hii Kenya. So they need to stop that kind of politics. They need to go and talk to the issues that affect this country, rally people behind those issues, and move forward.
Allow us to take a break and for you to take some water. Mi pia nichukue maji hapa. Then we continue. I've been talking, having a discussion with Joe from Nairobi and Tabitha, all of them joining me via Zoom. Tabitha all the way from Siaya and Joe here in Kitisuri, Nairobi. We are taking a break and right back. Don't go away.
Nothing else to say,
You're
Eduardo.
lying. Both of you.
The worst was that your father had me against my wish.
I don't care if everything points at him right now. I know he's innocent. He is innocent, and I have to tell him that.
You didn't have a mother because there were so many complications on your birth. But that wasn't your fault, my dear. I beg you.
The Amazons.
Dear for me, through the ups and downs, you know you've always been around. So every day me show you love and not just fathers they alone. Daddy, let me tell you straight, there's no greater man I'd want to emulate.
I'm not the perfect man for you. Good to pray, thanks and praise for all my days. I never meant to cause you any sorrow.
I believe that love can touch someone, only love can conquer the hate inside. Just your favorite girl, you're my favorite boy. Come dance with me forever. Girl, you're my favorite boy. Come dance with me forever.
And welcome back. We are still having that discussion with Tabitha Ogutu all the way from Siaya and Joe Halende, who is also joining us via Kitisuru. Kitisuru is in Kiambu County or Nairobi? Think in between.
Kiambu.
In Kiambu.
It's in Kiambu.
But people say that Kitisuru is Nairobi. We have to get our locations right. Geography. All right. So from Nairobi to Kiambu to Siaya. That's how good we are. Okay. Continuing with our discussion. So I really want to understand something here, Tabitha, to you now. Moving from One Kenya Alliance, we have seen Honorable Raila Odinga now coming out so strongly as opposed to how it was sometimes in the past. And the Azimio la Umoja campaign slogan is surely taking traction and starting to percolate slowly into the minds of the people and of the electorate. One approach that Honorable Raila Odinga has taken is to bring all the governors together. Every region, he tries to bring all the governors, whether from UDA, Jubilee, and ODM party, Wiper, all the governors of those particular regions coming together. From your own understanding and as an expert, what do you take home from this?
I think this is one of the greatest questions you've asked this morning, because from the word Azimio la Umoja, basically intended to say, let us bring Kenyans together. It's an art of bringing Kenyans together. And as you've seen, it's not just a political slogan, but it's as practical as the name suggests. Honorable Raila Odinga has managed to bring masses together. If he went even to Rift Valley and they came for Azimio la Umoja. And if you look at his track record, it speaks for himself, because you remember during 2007 general election when we had Kenya divided alongside very, very terrible political divides of tribalism, and many people felt like they were robbed something, or Kenyan people, they thought that it was time for them to fight. And some of them they were made to do some of these things by some politicians who incited them. But then the former premier saw that Kenya was too big than one person, as he always puts it. And what did he do? He shelved his interest and accepted the results as they were, and Kenya moved forward. And in that regard, we saw the repeat again in 2000, and it was 2013, when he also joined President Uhuru Kenyatta to push the country forward. There was no reason for him to keep going back and forth about some of these things, and Kenyans were the ones who were suffering. And now we had handshake. That was just a step towards the right direction. And now taking the spirit of handshake and uniting Kenyans even at a bigger angle, if you ask me, then you have seen that now we are seeing Kenyans also shaking hands. You have seen politicians who could not talk to each other, see eye to eye. For example, a good example is Babu Owino and Honorable Jaguar.
Tabitha, how sad. Okay, Joe, Tabitha will come back to you briefly. Joe, perhaps you can just pick it from Tabitha has left. Where do we see Honorable Raila Odinga, the Azimio la Umoja slogan, slowly taking traction? All the governors, like right now, he's in the Coast region, and yesterday he was accompanied by Jubilee governor, that is Lamu governor, and now today he's going to be in Kilifi and heading to Kwale.
Yes. My take on Azimio la Umoja. Azimio la Umoja is just an old cliche, just like Nyayo, with no ideological backing, no tangible or practical explanation behind it. Azimio la Umoja is just the same thing we used to say when we were kids, Nyayo thing, but it doesn't have that ideological backing behind it. Then on issues to do with the governors around Raila Amolo Odinga, we know the simple reason why those governors are gravitating around Raila Amolo Odinga. It's because they do not want issues to do with the EACC, and they do not want to be taken to court. That is the simple reason why they are hanging at Raila Amolo Odinga. But by February, and going to March next year, when Parliament will be dissolved, you will see massive departure from Azimio la Umoja into bottom-up side. For simple reason, we need our country to have a message that brings everybody on board. The people around Azimio la Umoja told us that their starting point was a handshake between the Prime Minister and the President.
Yeah.
So according to them, they united Kenyans through the handshake. So after uniting Kenyans, you need to go and Kenyans. But Azimio la Umoja is the same cliche too, that we are uniting Kenyans. Uniting towards what?
Isn't that the real intention of the Azimio la Umoja, as the name suggests? That's why I'm telling you, Kenyans are not divided. And actually, if you have been very carefully and listening to the message that the Deputy President has been having and the meeting he has been having with the people at the grassroots level, he has been asking them, do you have an issue with the Kikuyu? People say no. Do you have an issue with the Aluya? People say no. Do you have an issue with the Kamba? No. What is your issue? The economy and pesa mfukoni. That is the issue that is affecting Kenyans across the board. If you ask anybody here in Kiambu today, he will tell you the economy is bad. We are not having money. We are not able to feed our family and put food on the table. That is the issue. And a presidential campaign or a presidential machinery needs to speak around those issues. And the only person who has crafted and managed to convince this country and rally the whole country behind his agenda
it is William Ruto through his bottom-up economic approach, which talks on 5 issues. It talks on health, it talks on saving and investment, it talks on job creation, it talks on SMEs, and it talks on agriculture. And those are the things that can be able for you to look for jobs for the 17 million Kenyans, not just jobs. You be able to work as a Kenyan and be paid or earn a living from the work that you have done. And if you address those issues, you are home.
Okay. Tabitha, where Joe has left, what's your point on that? Joe is saying that the Azimio la Umoja is a cliche and has no ideological backing as compared to the bottom-up economy approach.
Okay, I mean, first of all, I would like to respect his school of thought.
Yes.
And also respect the fact that he supports the Hustler Nation movement. I mean, we are democratic Kenyans. I mean, and you are allowed to say whatever you want, or even arraign yourself with one political divide of the society as he is doing. It's really okay, but it will be very wrong for him to say that Kenya was not a divided country. Given all matters withstanding, Kenya was a divided country along very, very sensitive lines. We cannot fail to say that tribalism was one of those lines, and that is why Kenya shed a lot of blood during those general elections. And if, for example, anybody saying, if the former premier could have not shelved his political interests and even accepted to do a handshake in 2013 or even in 2007, then many Kenyans would have continued to shed the blood, lose their property, and we will be having animosity. Just a good example, just here in Siaya, Honorable Tuju was almost being banned. I don't know if it was banned during the 2013 general election, basically because they say that he was a Luo, and as people from Syria are supposed to be supporting Baba, but he was seen in President Uhuru Kenyatta's camp. And because of that, even his family and even his mother and siblings' life were in danger because they were seen as foreign people in a place where they belong by right of birth. What was that? That is what we call basically political intolerance. This was so high. So it will be very sad to hear somebody say that Kenya was not divided, and therefore the spirit of handshake was just something that we call a cliche or a Azimio la Umoja. So I'll say that for me, I'd like him to take back that and say that we have seen our leaders, not just the president and the former premier, uniting Kenyans. Kenyans were divided, and the Kenyans have embraced each other or one another of late, something that we have seen very well. We have even seen the deputy president also, crusading for the same, for Kenyans to be together. We cannot continue to be divided. That is put as an insight on what you said. Secondly, I think even like we have economic issues that we are suffering from as a country. One of the points that can invest in agriculture. I always say that this is one of the basic economic activity that we even practice here at the villages and even in the rural areas. So how can the government basically, or even the presidential candidates who want to revamp the economy, what are some of the strategies? It's not just the wheelbarrow, it's not just the 6,000 per month. What are the sustainable and consistent strategies or or the common youth who is involved in a small business? How can they upscale this? How can they, have the funding to start and run some of these businesses? So this is a multifaceted approach towards even developing the economy or even making Kenyans move away from poverty. Because if you ask me, a lack of money or poverty is some of the reasons that are contributing towards election or voting for bad leaders. Because when you do not have economic bargaining power, then you can easily be forced to, vote for anybody or even, just bring any other leader on the table. So even as we talk about these political narratives of Azimio la Umoja, we which is, I'll say, is one of the best ideas that these countries can have. We have to speak as a united country, regardless of whatever comes on board. And even as we have the Hustler Nation movement going along, then one thing that we should not move out of our mind is at the end of the day, we remain one Kenya people, and that politicians will come and go, but we cannot train our rights and even our freedom and even, even our unity for things that, just disrupt us. Just allow me to comment on one thing as I give back to you.
In 10 seconds, because we're running out of time.
Yes, I saw the deputy president in Kisumu County, and the youths really, they really did something that was not something we'll say was good. I'll say that as the youths, we should not be used, or even if we are not being used, we shall not say was what happened. We should be tolerant to our politician. If you do not want to be involved in a campaign or in somebody's talks, do not show up there to go and cause yours and destroy properties. It's very unfathomable. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Allow me to treat that as your parting shot, Tabitha. That's a perfect way to wind it up. Enjoy your parting shot in 20 seconds, if you can, kindly.
Parting shot is actually, I want to punch some holes into Tabitha's argument, because he has raised that he raises issues of us being divided as a country. She goes ahead and say political intolerance. What we need is people to mature up and we do issue-based politics, have strong national political parties with a backing of an ideology and an agenda that can rally people behind, so that we do not argue on basis of tribe. We argue on basis of issues. We argue on basis of a plan and agenda that can work in this country and include the 17 million young people who are jobless in this country. Thank you.
Joe, before I go, I'm told that Matthias is you're salivating, so that's a political word I should use. Matthias constituency in Busia County. You're salivating.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Matthias is a beautiful constituency with its dynamic in Busia County.
Yes.
Recently we hosted the deputy president, and we had a beautiful agenda with the people, and I can tell you, this message is resonating with the people at the grassroots level. What people want is job opportunity. What people want is to increase their agricultural productivity and be able to access market for their commodities. What people want is an empowerment program where they can access capital instead of being left at the mercy of predatory lenders like Fuliza and Tala and Branch, which are milking from millions of Kenyans. What Kenyans want is a functioning health sector. And if you have traversed this country, if you speak to any individual, not necessarily the people in Matthias, they will tell you those are the things that they want. And for the people of Matthias, I have 5 beautiful agenda for my people. And if they can accept me as a young person and be able to bring fresh ideas and put Matthias in the face and the picture of Kenyans, because I always ask them, at my private capacity as a wakili, I'm able to articulate issues at national level through public interviews like KBC. What has the current MP of Matthias argued in Parliament? He has not. You can go to the answer.
We will get time to ask him.
That he has been.
Yes, we will get time to ask that. But can I call you Mheshimiwa right now, or Wakili? Yes. Wakili, thank you so much. To decide. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's been an honor having you on board. That is Joe Halende, who is an aspiring member of parliament of Matthias. People of Matthias, you've seen, he's here and he's talked. We've also been talking matters national politics, and as well as a lady from Siaya County, that is Tabitha Ogutu, who is a governance expert and political analyst. Lady and gentlemen, asanteni sana for your valid company. We don't take it for granted. All right? Tabitha from Siaya, Irokamano, and Joe from Kitsuru, Orio muno papa. Okay, thank you so much. And even you as our viewer, we always say asante sana for joining us from 6 a.m. until this particular moment. Thank you so much for watching, and on behalf of the entire crew, we are not alone. There's an entire team. Thank you on their behalf. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Drought is the most damaging natural disasters. It has caused deaths of millions, destroying livelihoods across all continents. With the global climate change progressing rapidly, droughts are predicted to increase in frequency, duration, and severity.
In September this year, President Uhuru Kenyatta declared drought a national disaster, the declaration coming just a month after the National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, said that an estimated 2.1 million people were facing acute food shortage and would be in need of urgent assistance in the coming months.
At the start of the drought, Baringo County was placed in the alert stage of drought classification, meaning it needed minimal interventions. However, as the drought escalated, the county slid into the alarm stage, needing urgent assistance. We arrive at Grace Kimnyan's home in Tuyetich village, Baringo County. She's getting ready to start her day. Grace Kimnyan has ventured into fruit farming. The traditional maize and bean farming is seriously affected by the ongoing drought.
Tulikuwa tunaenda kuomba watu kama huko mlimani akiiva mahindi ama ukienda huko mahali naelekea Kabaranet, shida mingi ya njaa sana.
Her new approach to farming is advised by lessons on the art of integrating crops with trees, courtesy of the World Vision Kenya.
If you're in this place, first of all, you realize the microclimate is just different because of the presence of the trees. And these trees, these are agroforestry trees, which when they drop their leaves and also through their roots, they fix a lot of nutrients into the soil that benefits the grass that is growing.
Kimnyan later joins a group of women she is supplying with grass for their livestock in another section of her farm, where she is employing systematic regrowth of existing trees.
Nyasi imetuleta kabisa na imetupeleka mbele kwa sababu yeye kwanza ng'ombe yake aende kwa swam, analisha ng'ombe yake nyumbani, akitaka tu wanaenda agie akitaka, lakini saidi hakuna ng'ombe yake anakufa hata moja.
Drought is threatening their livestock, and Kimnyan's grass farm is their hope, at least for now. She's also demonstrating to these women how they too can benefit from the technique.
The existing tree species within a locality is being nurtured, selected, then nurtured to grow. This takes the process of also pruning them and creating space around them so that the trees grow in their own natural environment, and at the end of the day, the communities are able to use those trees for their own use.
After cutting the grass, it is left to dry for use as fodder. These women cut the fodder into small size for their livestock using a mini shaft cutter.
Sasa nimepanda nyasi, nimepata nyasi, ng'ombe na siba, na hata chirani sasa napata nyasi ya kusaidia. Imekuwa faida kubwa sana kwa sababu kama ng'ombe akufi, najua ni hasara sana sasa ile ng'ombe anakufa. Lakini kwetu sasa tunaona ng'ombe akufi kwa sababu ametusaidia, tukikujia yeye anatusaidia.
Courtesy of the farmer managed natural regeneration FMNR technique, the cows can generate milk. The children have something to eat and the women are happy.
Sisi tutakuwa tumejisaidia.
Kim Nyan's generosity is becoming infectious. The women say they will spread the word to other women on how they too can achieve economic independence through the farmer-managed natural regeneration, a low-cost and easily replicated approach to restoring and improving agriculture, forested and pasture lands.
Tunataka hata tutaendelea kufunza watu wa village wengine wapata hata na wao waelimike ndio tupate kwenda sote pamoja.
Are you all my person?
A glimpse of the effects of climate change. Merile River in Marsabit County serves more than half of the population here, but it's completely dried up. After a whole year of barely any rain, thousands of people on the north are facing severe hunger or starvation.
90% of the, or we can say even 99% of the water which are being used in sides of Songa, even in the areas like Padasa, are normally gotten from the forests. There are some catchment areas, some springs, which they normally collect those water and getting them.
Climate change experts are now calling this a climate change famine.
This area usually experiences a kind of perennial drought that normally hits so hard, and at the end of the day bring even conflicts among its community because of a scramble over grazing lands.
In this part of Marsabit County, there is nothing left to eat for residents. Nearly every day, they wake up to this. These animals are wasted away and dying from hunger and disease.
Kama una pesa uwezi kununua maji, hiyo ni shida. Kuosha nguo, sasa hakuna maji.
Joyce Dafaradai has lived here for years. Disturbed by the way the forest in her village has been depleted, she started tree nurseries using her own time and money to save the forest around her and make a difference.
Hatupati mvua, mambo ya climate change, mvua inasakosekana hata 3 years. Na shida tena kuenda forest unakamatwa na watu ya Kenya Forest.
In 2006, she introduced a group of women into the practice.
Tukaona sio fema, sisi tuko na mikono, tuko na akili, tuko na ujuzi, tuko na maji, tuko na ardhi. Tukasema wacha sisi badala tunaenda kununua huko mbali, ambayo tunatumia hata transport kuenda kutafuta miche kwa mbali, wacha sisi tujianzidishe yetu. Niliweza kuchangisha pesa kila mama shilingi 20, tukanunua miche 500 seedling. Tukaweza mimi nikapanda 50, nimejinunulia 50 nikapanda kwa plot yangu, na shule tukapandia pia.
The Faradai and her group would later voluntarily start helping the Kenya Forest Service take care of the Marsabit forest through rehabilitation by introducing indigenous trees.
This forest is a critical water catchment area for the Marsabit community, and its restoration brings hope to the already arid and drought-stricken area.
Apart from just doing farmer-managed natural regeneration within the forest, they also practice it back at home, and at the same time also doing tree planting. They have their own tree nurseries. They do fruit tree planting, which of course contribute to nutrition to their families.
These women have become grassroots leaders in Marsabit County. They have come together to show not only how they have been affected by drought, but also what they are doing for long-term solution.
Sisi kama wamama tunaweza kujisaidia. Hatuwezi kukaa na umaskini. Tunajua venye tunaweza kujitafutia pesa.
This is Chorora Women Group, brought together by fate. With worsening drought, competition for water and grazing is growing, stoking rivalry and theft among herders. Women and their children who are left to mind some of the animals at home also find themselves vulnerable to livestock raids and left without an income when they happen. But an unusual kind of income generation is helping the situation: beekeeping. Since 2017, these women have managed beehives as a new way of earning a living.
Tukiwa na hii beehives na tukiwa na msinga yetu, nyuki huwa tunavunanga wakati ya drought tu mara nyingi. Sio wakati ya rainy season. Na hii wakati drought tukivuna hii asali, huwa inatusaidia sana. Kwa sababu hii mapato tunapata yenyewe inatusaidia.
Through their various groups, Marsabit women are changing the story of their communities. As the drought bites, they have adequate food for their families. They keep working tirelessly for better environment and overall health for all.
Now they say if you want something done, then ask a woman. These women have done more than they have been asked. In a campaign led by the Kenya Forest Service and the World Vision Kenya, these women that are now planting trees in this region have taken advantage of the campaign and now keeping bees, a practice that has changed their lives in an area where drought is affecting communities here. Purity Museo, KBC.
Tikasi leo makala kutoka BBC yaliyomo. Baada ya wiki mbili ya mazungumzo, mkutano wa COP26 unaingia hatua ya mwisho huku majadiliano ya kukabiliana na mabadiliko ya tabia nchi yakiendelea. Baadaye waziri wa mambo ya nje wa Marekani Antony Blinken kufanya ziara yake rasmi ya kwanza barani Afrika wiki ijayo. Kisha tunaangazia migogoro ya binadamu na wanyamapori na jinsi ya kuitatua. Mubashara kutoka Nairobi, Kenya, usibanduke. Karibu katika habari za biashara zinazokuhusu, uchambuzi wa kina na mahojiano. Mimi ni Hamida Abubakar. Kongamano la majadiliano ya mabadiliko ya tabia nchi yani COP26 mjini Glasgow unaingia siku yake ya mwisho hii leo Ijumaa, huku hofu ikiongezeka kwamba lengo la kupunguza ongezeko la joto duniani hadi nyuzi 1.5 huenda lisiafikiwe. Nakala mpya ya majadiliano ya kongamano la COP26 sasa limetolewa, ambayo itakuwa msingi wa makubaliano yaliyotiwa saini na nchi zote zilizohudhuria. Lengo ni kuendelea kupunguza kabisa utoaji wa hewa chafu hadi ifikapo mwaka 2050. Ahadi muhimu ni kufanya mataifa kuwasilisha mipango kabambe zaidi ya kupunguza hewa ya kaboni na kuongeza ufadhili wa mabadiliko ya tabia nchi kwa zaidi ya dola bilioni 100 kwa mwaka ili kusaidia mataifa maskini kukabiliana na matatizo ya tabia nchi. Katika wiki mbili zilizopita, zaidi ya viongozi 100 duniani wameahidi kukomesha ukataji miti ifikapo mwaka 2030. Vilevile kulikuwa na taarifa zilizowashangaza wengi pale mataifa mawili yanayoongoza kwa kutoa gesi ya kaboni, ikiwa ni Marekani na China, zikiweza kukubali ushirikiano katika kukabiliana na mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. Basi tukiachana na hayo, ni kwamba athari za miaka mingi ya ukoloni zimezidisha masuala ya janga la machafuko ya hali ya hewa na tabia nchi. Unyonyaji unaofanywa na nchi tajiri kwa mataifa maskini unaendelea hadi hii leo. Hii imekuwa mojawapo ya masuala makubwa kuzungumziwa katika mkutano wa COP26 mjini Glasgow. Chama Omar Matata anaarifu zaidi.
Ukoloni wa mazingira unatokea wakati nchi zilizoendelea na zenye viwanda zinapoharibu ekolojia ya nchi nyinginezo. Badala ya kufanya juhudi zaidi za kupunguza utoaji wao wenyewe wa hewa ya ukaa, nchi tajiri ambazo ndizo zinazotoa kwa wingi kabisa hewa ya ukaa zinazilipa fidia nchi masikini za kusini. Kwa mfano, katika mwaka 2018 Ujerumani ilipiga marufuku uzalishaji wa makaa ya mawe nchini mwake, lakini bado iliruhusu viwanda vyake kuagiza makaa ya mawe kutoka kwingineko kama vile Colombia na Afrika Kusini. Nchi zenye viwanda vingi zinaagiza mamilioni ya mazao na tani nyingi za nyama kila mwaka. Bado haya yanafanyika kwa kusababisha athari kubwa kwa nchi nyingine kama vile Brazil na Indonesia, ambako msitu yenye viumbe vingi vyenye uhai inakatwa ili badala yake kufuga ng'ombe na kuotesha nafaka zinazohitajika kutosheleza mahitaji ya Wachina na wazungu. Kama vile tu nchi tajiri zilivyoyanyonya mataifa maskini kote barani Afrika, Asia na Amerika ya Kusini wakati wa enzi za ukoloni. Baadhi ya watu wanahoji kuwa nchi hizo zinafanya hivyo hivyo tena, lakini kwa njia nyingine tofauti, na kulitumia janga la machafuko ya tabia nchi kama kisingizio chao. Jamomari Matata, BBC.
Kwa sasa tutupie macho taarifa zingine za biashara kutoka maeneo mbalimbali ya Afrika na kimataifa. Waziri wa mambo ya nje wa Marekani Antony Blinken atafanya ziara yake rasmi ya kwanza barani Afrika wiki ijayo. Akizuru mataifa ya Kenya, Nigeria na Senegal, Blinken anatarajiwa kukutana na marais wa nchi zote tatu na kutoa hotuba kuhusu sera ya Marekani na Afrika. Ataanza ziara hiyo tarehe 15 Novemba nchini Kenya, ambapo atazungumzia masuala ya usalama wa kikanda kama vile Ethiopia, Somalia na Sudan. Shirika la kimataifa la fedha linaanzisha wakfu mpya wa dola bilioni 30 kwa mataifa yaliyo na kipato cha wastani. Wakfu huo mpya unatarajiwa kutoa ufadhili wa muda mrefu kwa viwango vya chini vya riba ili kusaidia mataifa hayo kukabiliana na majanga pamoja na matatizo ya tabia nchi. Mpango huo utaanza Oktoba mwaka ujao, huku ufadhili ukitoka katika mataifa tajiri. Tukio maarufu la mauzo ya kila mwaka la kampuni ya Alibaba linalojulikana kama Singles Day limerekodi mauzo ya chini zaidi kuwahi kutokea tangu kuzinduliwa kwake mwaka 2009. Kampuni hiyo kubwa ya biashara ya mtandao imesema mauzo hayo yaliyofanyika kwa siku 11 yaliongezeka tu kwa 8.3%. Hii ni mitikasi leo, makala kutoka BBC tutakayoangazia hivi punde upungufu wa makazi ya wanyamapori Afrika. Karibu tena. 60% ya njia za wanyamapori kwenye mpaka wa Tanzania na Kenya hazipo tena. Hii ni kwa mujibu wa ripoti ya hivi karibuni ya shirika la World Wildlife Fund ambalo limesema kwamba kuongezeka kwa shughuli za uvamizi wa kibinadamu na kilimo ndio sababu kuu zinazochangia upotevu wa maeneo muhimu ya makazi ya wanyama. Sasa ripoti hiyo ya hivi punde iliyochapishwa na shirika la mazingira la Umoja wa Mataifa inaonyesha idadi ya wanyamapori duniani imepungua kwa wastani ikifikia 68% tangu mwaka 1970, hasa kutokana na migogoro ya binadamu na wanyamapori, na pia kusema kwamba hali hii haiwezi kuangamizwa kabisa. Kunahitajika mbinu nzuri zitakazowezesha kuwa na uhusiano mzuri baina ya wanyama na binadamu. Tuangalie mfano wa Tanzania. Shirika la utoaji msaada la Marekani USAID pamoja na washirika wengine wamezindua mradi wa miaka 5 ili kuweza kutatua changamoto zinazotishia harakati za wanyamapori nchini. Mradi huo unakadiriwa kugharimu takriban dola milioni 31. Hatua hii itaweza kupiga jeki sekta ya utalii nchini Kenya ambayo inachangia takriban 25% ya pato la nje. Lakini kupoteza kwa njia za wanyamapori kuna athari gani kwa sekta ya utalii Afrika Mashariki? Jim Justus Nyamu ni mkurugenzi mkuu wa shirika la Elephant Neighbors, anatupa taswira kamili. Tumsikilize.
60 ama 70 ya wanyamapori Afrika wako nje za mbuga. Hivyo ni kumaanisha kwamba 40 peke yake asilimia ndio tu wanyama wako kwenye mbuga. Na ni kumaanisha kwamba kunao wengi wako kule nje ambao mashirika ambayo yanahusika na mambo ya wanyamapori hawapo. Lakini je, ni vipi serikali itakaoweza kufanya kitu chochote kuhusu wale wanyama? Tunasema hivi ya kwamba kuna hizo kazi nyingi zimefanyika na mashirika ambayo si ya kiserikali, NGOs, na imefanyika na yako na msingi mwema, lakini utakuta kwamba hayaja halalishwa ama validation. Na ndio tunasema ya kwamba kazi zenye zinafanyika na civil society ama azizi za kiraia zinafaa kutumika, manake wengi ni wasomi, nikiwemo mimi mfanya kazi nyingi, lakini lazima ziweke kwenye binu mwafaka ya serikali ili ziweze kufanya kazi. Manake tumetenga, kama tumeonyesha mfano kwamba ni njia gani tutakaoweza kuzuilia mgogoro wa wanyamapori na binadamu. Na nikizungumzia hilo jambo ni kwamba Kuna vita kubwa sana ya binadamu na wanyamapori, na hii yote inatokana na ukosefu wa mbinu mwafaka ya kuweza kuzuilia wanyamapori na binadamu. Ni sababu wananchi wanaishi bila ya mpangilio kule nje. Wanyama sasa wamekuwa sio wengi, lakini binadamu ndio wamekuwa wengi sana, na kutokuwa na kuelimishwa ama kutoa hamasa ya kwamba wanyama kwa nini tuwahitaji. Kwa hiyo nakuta wanyama wengi wanauawa na wananchi kule, sababu wananchi wanawaona kama ni maadui kwao. Sababu tumesema ya kwamba wengi wako nje za mbuga na mashirika ambayo yanafaa kufanya zile kazi hawawezi, sababu hawana pesa za kutosha. Tunasema kwa kimombo inadequate resources. Hawana hata vifaa, hawana. Nikizungumzia hapa kwetu Kenya, wildlife service hawana vifaa.
Wakati viongozi wa dunia wakiwa Glasgow kujadili njia bora zaidi za kukabiliana na mabadiliko ya tabia nchi, ushahidi wa kushangaza umeibuka kutoka barani Afrika kuhusu athari kubwa sana ya ongezeko la kiwango cha joto duniani, hali ambayo imesababisha kutokea ukame na mafuriko katika maeneo mengi barani humo. Lakini mji wa Cape Town umetafuta njia zisizo za kawaida za kukabiliana na hali hii. Suluma Kasim anatueleza zaidi.
Milima mirefu inayozunguka mji wa Cape Town na juhudi kubwa za kuhifadhi maji ya mvua. Makundi ya watu yanajitahidi sana kushughulikia mazingira, kukata miti kama misonobari na miti mingine inayojiotea tu hapa. Hii ni kwa sababu miti ya misonobari hupenda sana maji, hunyonya robo ya maji ambayo yangeweza kuishia katika mabwawa ya kuhifadhi maji Cape Town. Kila kisiki hapa inamaanisha maji zaidi kwa binadamu. Na siku hizi miji ambayo inazidi kuwa mikubwa barani Afrika inahitaji kila tone la maji. Wasichana katika mitaa ya mabanda karibu na mji wa Cape Town hukusanyika katika eneo lenye mfereji wa maji. Ukame, athari ya tabia nchi ndio umekuwa sehemu ya utoto wao.
Ni kitu ambacho kitatokea katika siku za usoni, ni kitu kinachotokea hivi sasa. Hivyo inanifanya kuwa na wasiwasi, kunikatisha tamaa na kunifanya kuchukua msimamo wa kutaka kuleta mageuzi.
Miaka 3 iliyopita, ukame uliokithiri ulibadilisha hali hapa na kuyafanya maeneo ya kuhifadhi maji kuwa kama ni pahala penye vumbi tu. Habari njema ni kwamba hali hii imewagutusha sana mamlaka za hapa na raia, na hivyo kuamua kuchukua hatua madhubuti.
Fikra ya kutokuwa na maji katika mji huu ni kitu cha kusikitisha na kutisha, na mji ulifanya vizuri katika kutekeleza ujumbe wa kuwataka kuhifadhi maji ya kutumia nusu ya matumizi yetu ya maji.
Eneo lisilo mbali na mji, athari kubwa kabisa ya ukame. Lakini mafanikio ya Cape Town ya kipekee nchini Afrika Kusini. Eneo lisilo mbali na mji, athari kubwa kabisa ya ukame kwa zaidi ya karne moja inaonekana wazi. Je, hii ni athari mbaya zaidi kuwahi kushuhudia? Hali hapa Cape Mashariki, binadamu ndio kulaumiwa katika kusababisha mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. Kwa kipindi cha miaka 7 hakuna mvua ilionyesha hapa. Wakulima hapa hata wakawa wanafikiria pengine ndio basi tena.
Sometimes I don't want to think about the future. Mara nyingine huwa hata sitaki kufikiria siku za usoni. Ukiwaona wanyama wetu hivi sasa na ikiwa ukame utaendelea, mimi huwa sifikiri kuhusu kesho. Najitahidi kufikiria nitaishi vipi hii leo. Kwa upande wetu sisi wakulima, siku za mbele ziko kiza.
In farming.
Hii sasa ndio changamoto kwa bara hili, kusimamia maji vizuri na kwa njia ya haki zaidi. Kwa sababu ukame unazidi kuongezeka na hakuna muda kupoteza. Suluma Kasim, BBC.
Mwisho wa mitikasi leo kutoka BBC. Iwapo hujapata kuona taarifa zetu leo na wiki nzima, tembelea mtandao wa YouTube BBC Swahili, ama wasiliana nami kupitia mtandao wa Twitter Hamida Abubakar 7. Hadi wiki ijayo, Maulana atakaporidhia. Kwa heri.
that seek a maiden win in the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifiers play for pride. The Amavubi of Rwanda play the Harambee Stars, hoping that they can get a second point from them. Watch the match between Kenya and Rwanda on Monday, the 15th of November 2021 from 4 p.m. live on KBC Channel 1. Only available on Signet and free-to-air decoders.
The Amazons.
There is nothing else to say,
You're lying. Both of you.
The worst was that your father had me against my wish.
I don't care if everything points at him right now. I know he's innocent. He is innocent, and I have to tell him that.
You didn't have a mother because there were so many complications on your birth. But that wasn't your fault, my dear. I beg you. The Amazons.
Gari akiendi twazunguka tu tukizunguka.
Matatizo iko wapi? Mama, sasa mimi nitajuaje na wewe ndio wamfungia kule? Mimi sijui mama.
It has always been my idea.
And I'm telling you, kama ni mpango wako, let me tell you right on your face. You fail big time.
A very good morning to you. My name is Daniel Wahom and welcome to Sports Check on this Monday morning. It is the 15th day of November 2021. We'll be having conversations on sport. We will be talking about the National Olympic Committee of Kenya elections. What's the process that's going to followed and how are the candidates gearing themselves up for that? 3x3 basketball